that they're going to hold against me.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm joined today with JT Vega, a YouTuber who covered GamerGate. How are you doing today, JT?
It's been a long time, hasn't it?
It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Um, I'm just going to tell everybody, don't worry. I'm not going to hold back.
Good, good. I like to hear that. I just
Yeah,
realized something. I have 45 people confirmed for this project.
yeah. And I understand because a lot of them just want to tell the truth. So I'm just going to tell my side of the story too.
Well, JT, tell me about your GamerGate experience.
Well, I was very familiar with Zoe Quinn. Like a lot of the games that came out, um, she basically made this game, and I heard about what happened. They claimed that she was harassed or something and bullying, but then when you find out about this, you find out it was basically a website that can't be named due to the fact that they don't want to be known. But this website basically had a bunch of people. They may call them incels, but they actually were people that suffer from social anxiety disorder. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
Yeah, they suffered from that. They basically can't really trust people very well, and they isolate themselves in their own room or house, and they don't want to talk to people.
All right. So you knew about the long before GamerGate incident involving
Yeah,
Zoe Quinn and a different
yeah,
internet community.
there was a lot of things. There was a lot of things that happened during that time. I know that a lot of people were talking about Zoe, especially a lot of it wasn't like harassment, but it was more suspicion around her because she made this game called Depression Quest. I looked at the game on Steam, and a lot of people, like, when they deleted the post and everything, people brought up the game being a flash game. Sorry about this, but it was literally a flash game, and a lot of people criticized this game being, like, I understand it was trying to be this text-based game where you pick and choose, but it kind of was just boring. It was just, I don't know why anyone would like be in favor of this game, saying that this is the greatest game ever made and we need to support her, this vision of a game, when it was just this most boring game ever. Like, if you like, a lot of, I remembered some people who talked about that the grammar was very terrible.
Okay.
Like, you can, would you agree?
I've not played it, but
I played it
why should why does this matter to you?
because there was, this is not really a matter of anything. It was just, it wasn't like the best game ever made, and a lot of people question Zoe about this. I know that a lot of people disagreed with the game not being that she was the face of the indie scene. That was kind of the issue that people were questioning about her. She was this face in the indie scene that popped up out of nowhere, and Kotaku was talking about her. I know there was other, like, game journalists, like, talked about her, and we kind of realized what was, people were kind of bringing up things about her, and it was suspicious. That was the concerning thing.
So it's suspicious because this indie developer is getting a lot of attention?
Yeah, getting a lot of attention for a game that just didn't really seem to, appeal in a way.
I'm just trying to figure out like why you care about this though.
Because it was very concerning, because you know that Steam Greenlight, when it was around, right?
Yeah.
And they introduced that. The reason why she got her game onto the thing was because people sympathized with her over the attack on a certain website that I mentioned.
Just say the name, dude. It's fine. It's history.
Yeah, it's Wizard Chan. And I hate to say that, but they don't want to be known right now because that's kind of the problem. Because the culture down to that website was basically, if you make it over 30 and you haven't had sex with a woman and you're a virgin, congratulations, you're a wizard. And it became this meme that they had.
Were you a poster on this forum?
No, but I heard about what happened.
What? So you got involved with GamerGate because you were upset that there were some suspicious a game developer was getting a lot of suspicious attention, and you
Yeah.
didn't. How
Yeah.
did you get involved with GamerGate, JT?
I got involved because I was a content creator, and I basically heard about what happened, and I was kind of concerned about it, and I basically decided, you know what, I might as well make content about this because a lot of people were talking about this, and even the suspicions of Reddit and everything, and 4chan and everything, and it just kind of made sense. Even I saw the video by Internet Aristocrat because I remember he did another video about another particular person about a game that kind of came out on Kickstarter, and he talked about a specific person. I can't remember her name. And what happened was this game was the was the spiritual successor to Mega Man.
Mighty
And
Number Nine.
yeah, Mighty Number 9. And I remembered seeing that video because he basically talked about this person being very much a narcissist, uh, basically wanting a female character in the game, and she was like the community manager.
I do vaguely remember something about this, though. Why should it really matter? Like, what's the big important issue with Mighty Number Nine?
Mighty Number 9 right now, it's not. It didn't work out because of the fact that a lot of people wanted their money back from that whole situation because um, because she basically ruined it all and got involved with because she was this feminist woman who basically believed in the ideas of feminism because she wanted a female character and she basically forced it down everyone's throat in the community and tried to kick out people off the forums who paid money for this.
Why is it a big deal if they just add a female character to the game?
It's not a big deal. It's just the problem was she did it in a way that was just so creepy.
What'd she do that was so creepy about it?
Well, she kind of banned people from off the forums that disagreed with her on the whole thing.
Okay.
Because they what they really wanted was they wanted the game to be a Mega Man game. I don't mind the idea of the concept of having a female character, but they wanted to play a Mega Man game. And what happened was they didn't get that when it was released. They were very disappointed. Like if you see the reviews of the game, it just came out like shit.
So you got involved with GamerGate because you were when you saw this Mighty Number Nine controversy and you were covering it as a content creator.
There was a lot of other. I didn't cover it at first. At the time, you have to understand when I started out small. It wasn't like I didn't have like all the resources and everything, but I started out small. When I covered Gamergate, I covered the fact that when I got involved in it, it started to when they started to do the whole GamerGate articles saying that gamers are dead articles, and then they started accusing people of being racist, white nationalists, and all that other stuff. I made a video, and you may recall at the time, I made that video in response to that because there were people that were making content about that, talking about GamerGate, but in a way they basically were the not your shield people. And they were pretty upset because of the fact that they know these people very well because they encountered them before, and these people were basically used by the media as a way to get people on their side, to cover up the fact that they did these terrible things to minorities and LGBTQ in order to say, "Oh, they're horrible. They're the bad guys. Look what they did. They said the N-word. They did this," type of situation. Would you agree to that?
I I'm not sure I 100% follow. So I'm just not sure I follow. So not your shield is what. I'm sorry, JT. I'm struggling here.
Yeah, I'm sorry to it may not make any sense to you, but to me it kind of did at the time because I looked at the people and I realized they were being accused of all this stuff, and I had to do something about it. I had to come in and tell people, hey, I support Gamergate, but at the same time, realizing that when they did these articles talking about that they wanted to create a safe space and everything, but they were hypocritical.
Okay, so you saw the Gamers for Dead articles, and this upsets you, and you felt like they were demonizing large swaths of people as being
Yeah,
misogynists and racists
yeah,
and all these bad
yeah,
things, but
yeah,
then you didn't believe that that was true.
yeah. I didn't believe that was true at the time.
Do you believe it's true now?
There are some people that I believe that are what they are.
Was that was that most of the people in Gamergate?
Not all of them. I don't believe any of them were. I don't believe you were.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, because as I believe it, as I believe, there were people that were misbehaving, and I don't. There's some people that were upfront about me, upfront telling me that they are what they are, and I'm not trying to judge them for that. I understand a lot of them were involved in this because they saw the writing on the wall,
What was the writing on the
eh,
wall?
that it became a conflict on the internet. They got involved in this because they saw that the conflict was getting really bad and really worse. People being dishonest, and you see a lot of bad actors involved, especially I do recall there was an incident that happened with Gamergate, and a lot of people talked about this. Like there was also the situation with the fine young capitalist. There was a situation with how they were exposing these issues that were coming out. Like they were basically, especially the Game Journal Pros thing. Remember that one?
Yes.
Yeah, and we all talked about that. We realized that there was a lot more going on with what they were doing too.
What were they doing that you thought was so bad?
I'm not saying that they were colluding on there, but I do believe that they, because even I remember, you remember Michael, Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah, the basketball player.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, the journalist from Destructoid who
Uh,
uh, who came in who came in and talked to us about GamerGate and everything. Like he wanted to know, but I understand people attacked him because he actually had to run a website, and I actually ran with him on that website. And I realized that that website was doomed to fail too, and I don't blame him because it was just he tried.
So JT, can you define what GamerGate was?
It was a mixture of people who criticized the gaming industry, not really the gaming industry, but the indie games industry itself for what they were doing, because they were trying to become the gaming industry.
And so you
Because
believe the gamer. Go ahead.
but keep in mind, Zoe Quinn was an indie developer, not a full time, well known games industry pro if I pronounce it right, games industry, billionaire.
So GamerGate to you was fighting for improving the games industry and not letting a small clique of journalists and indie developers take the spotlight away from other indie developers and other
Yeah,
developers that you
yeah,
thought were more deserving,
yeah.
or were not getting fair treatment, I guess I should say.
They were not getting fair treatment because we saw how even when I talked to Michael about this, he told me what was going on at E3. Especially, there was this indie developer that talked about herself like she was just a games developer, not a female developer. She wanted to be known as a developer.
JT, do you consider yourself a gamer?
Yeah,
What
I
does that?
play games. I play what? I play like D&D um slash computer games, even console games.
What does the term gamer mean to you?
Someone who likes the hobby, that plays video games, that likes the hobby of playing video games. That's a gamer.
Is it a gendered term for you?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like I have a penis, therefore I'm a gamer. It doesn't have to be that way.
Okay, so it doesn't have any gendered connotations. There's not like, oh,
Yeah,
only men can be gamers, anything like that.
yeah. It's not like only men can be gamers. Like you can be a female and play video games. Hell, I met a stripper on freaking Call of Duty. She was a pretty good shooter.
We've already touched upon the Gamers Are Dead articles, JT.
Yeah,
And these articles, why do you think they wrote them?
I think they wrote them in response to Zoe, in response to how Zoe Quinn was being, publicly publicly attacked and criticized for her revealing of herself being, and I want to correct this to everybody. I'm not going to call her the S word, but I will call her a sex addict. That's what I'm going to correct the lines here, because I realized the problem with Zoe Quinn when when I was digging into the whole situation. I found out Zoe Quinn does have a sex addiction and drinking problem and drug problems. Those are the three things that she had.
Allegedly, I have not seen.
Allegedly,
But
allegedly. I'm not.
why does it really matter if she has a sex addiction problem, or if she likes to
If
have
they
sex with
would
people,
have
or if she has drug addiction problem?
if
Why
if
should you
they
care
would have
about this?
if they would have addressed that instead of saying that gamers are dead, people are sexist, they wouldn't. They would have put out the flaw that Zoe Quinn, instead of going after because I would have forgave her for those problems.
Why does your forgiveness matter? I mean, these are personal failings that like an individual
Yeah,
supposedly
because
has.
because it would have never happened in Gamergate. It would have the whole Gamergate thing would have never happened because a lot of people were upset about the way that they were being treated and being, accused of this stuff when really a lot of them were kind of like, what the fuck? You're calling us these things when we basically pointed out that this person is dating this person, even though it doesn't matter. This person took advantage of the situation, and everybody in the tech industry is defending her. Let me put it this way: if they didn't have to defend her for being a sex addict, they didn't have to defend her for being a drug addict, they didn't have to defend her from having these mental issues. I understand they sympathized with her with those issues that she had. Those were the struggles that she had. If people would have wrote articles saying, "Hey, listen, Zoe Quinn isn't a perfect person, but keep in mind she's not a bad person. The problem is she's struggling with those issues." They could have pointed out that. Instead, they accused the whole community of being bad people who had no involvement whatsoever with her. But instead, they just went after the whole community, claiming that gamers are bad people. Therefore, because we laughed at the whole situation with Zoe Quinn and a journalist, the whole Five Guys situation.
Wait, why isn't your issue with the journalist though more than it is with her having these mental health issues supposedly?
It is the journalist's fault though for trying to defend her in a way that it kind of did hurt her in the community.
But do you know who the journalist was and what he did?
Oh yeah, everyone on Kotaku, even Steven Totillo. Remember the interview with Total Biscuit?
Vaguely, I saw it years ago.
Yeah, I saw it. I remembered that there was one thing that Total Biscuit asked him about is that he even openly admitted on the interview that Steven Totillo even admitted that Zoe was friends. They were friends.
Well, it just seems like you're talking a lot about Zoe Quinn and her past issues with other online communities like Wizard Chan
Yeah,
and the Fine Young Capitalists, and you're talking about her having these what you consider to be mental health issues. I've
yeah,
not
these are
verified that. I'm
yeah,
just not sure like why that stuff. Why should we care about that? But you don't seem to
and
be spending a lot of time talking about Nathan Grayson.
yeah, Nathan Grayson, what he did, even though I will admit, like I kind of agreed with what was his name? You had an issue with him. You didn't trust him. It's the furry
The
guy that
QQ?
yeah, QQ. Like I kind of agreed with him on the whole thing, the whole situation that Nathan uh didn't write a review on Zoe Quinn. He basically wrote an article about Zoe Quinn recommending her game.
Yes. Yeah, that's correct.
And
And
of
promoting
course,
it over 49 others in the article too.
yeah.
But
Yeah. And I kind of agree with that assessment that QQ made. Also, the fact that he did write an article about her in the whole game jam. I think it was like this article about it was like a competition sponsored by a company, and they put it on YouTube. And she was in contract with the company, but she wanted to break out of that company, and she used her friends that were journalists to basically break out of that contract because she didn't like what they were doing on that reality show that they were doing.
I'm just I understand that like she was involved in a lot of drama, and Grayson did write 3 articles, though one of which was before it was confirmed that they were friends. So like
Yeah,
I wouldn't hit him over that one necessarily unless more
yeah,
information came out.
but
But 2 of the articles, yes, they were conflicts of interest, and one of them was a very serious one.
yeah, but they were in a. But
But I'm just go ahead.
there was also the infamous because I remembered when Ralph brought up the whole thing that he beta tested Ralph Retort brought up the that he did beta test the game itself, and there was also
He
the
was thanked in
whole
the credits. I know that.
he was thanked in the credits. There was also the fact that they were hanging out drinking on Instagram. Like he had an Instagram account. Remember that one?
They were in a there was a YouTube video. They were in a hotel room partying together
Yeah,
with a few other people, but
yeah, with a few other people, and you can't deny the fact that they did have a friendly relationship of sorts. But she kind of was trying to. She was even trying to she's trying. I understand she's been struggling. Like she was trying to make money and everything. Like I'm
well,
not
the
trying to
game's
hate on
free.
them.
Like
Yeah, the game is free. Like she basically was trying to like,
she did take
but
money on Patreon though from other people for stuff,
yeah,
but
she did Patreon. But remember that other game that she was trying to bring out? It was that whole. It was like a. It was based on a book series that a guy created, but
Chuck Tingle, yeah.
yeah, Chuck Tingle, and she tried to bring that out. And I was hoping that she would bring it out because I found Chuck Tingle's books were entertainingly funny as hell with the whole gay stuff, like the gay bus thing.
I think
But
supposedly it's still in development though. I don't know how many updates there are.
I think but a lot of people were kind of waiting for that game for years. Like that game was an FMB game, but Zoe said that she ran out of money off of that thing.
Yeah, it's 2018 was the Kickstarter.
Yeah, 2018 was the Kickstarter, and she basically there was no updates. Like people were complaining about there were no updates for the Kickstarter, and she could have went to Epic Games and asked them, "Hey, can I have some money so I can put this game together and make it?" Like she could have done that, but she chose not to because Epic was paying people to bring their games over to Epic, the Epic Game Store, and also it would cover her development cost of the game because all she needed was like probably about $1 million, and that would actually pay for the actors and everything else that she wanted to do with that game. But there's also the drama with a particular person in that game, and it involves a wrestler. And I think it was his name was Jack Ryan. I think his name was Jack Ryan. Let me look at him. No, that's not him.
Yeah, it involves a wrestler.
Yeah, yeah,
It just here's what I'm trying to get at a little bit. It seems like I ask you about GamerGate,
yeah,
and you most of the time you spend most of the time talking about Zoe Quinn and various
yeah,
controversies and dramas involving her.
yeah. And I admit that that is a little bit, but you want me to bring up the whole issue with the Zoe Quinn? A
Well, I
lot of
wanted you to
people,
let you bring up wherever you want to go with it.
yeah,
We can talk about anything you want.
yeah. I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize. I think it's part. I think it's an interesting part of the story, right?
Yeah, because it's basically what I was involved in. Like I got involved because I heard the stories about it. And I understand that a lot of people, because I kind of sympathize with a lot of people in this whole situation. And I remembered people opposing it, blocking people on Twitter. It became like a conflict.
Yeah, very much so, I guess. Why do you think that
Yeah.
is? Why do you think this became a major contested disagreement on the internet?
Because there were a lot of controversies that happened. Like I understand that there was a lot of concerns about harassment, but looking at the situation, people were getting blocked on Twitter because they didn't want to listen or hear what they have to say. And I understand that they felt annoyed by these people. They just didn't care. They just didn't want to, deal with these people because of the fact that these people are terrible as they believe. But I don't talk to them, I don't engage with them, but they block me on Twitter because I kind of disagreed with the issue.
Yeah, the block list, the
Yeah.
GamerGate auto blocker.
Yeah. And I knew that she was. I knew that when I actually exposed the whole thing, when she kind of put it on a message board. You know who I'm talking about, right?
The Randy Harper, she's the one who created the
Yeah,
auto blocker. You're referring to her?
yeah, yeah. Her intention was to basically, because they didn't want to. They don't want anyone to listen to what we have to say about it, and that was their intention. And I actually had to put that out there because she was trying to cover up a lot of the stuff that was going on.
Sorry, give me just a moment.
Hmm.
Anything else you want to talk about regarding the Gamers Are Dead articles?
I remembered when we basically did those gamer or dead articles. They were basically accused. Like I understood that their intention was to elevate people that they wanted on their platform. Like they wanted people that basically fits the bill for them.
What do you mean by fits the bill for them?
Like basically like image wise, like they want someone that is friendly to them, people that are likable. And they write these articles about the game developer and how they make this game and everything. And there's a lot of good developers out there. It's just the problem is that there's certain games that don't really do so well, but there's some games that are pretty good, that are pretty solid, that they actually fit the bill for a lot of people who like to play them, that don't get a lot of recognition in the games industry or got a lot of recognition in um indie games competitions like game jams and such. That I'm surprised when you go to any event, like any convention or anything like that are trying to promote the game. I'm surprised they don't get a lot of you don't see a lot of media covering it. There's certain games like I know that when you go down to, for example, PAX, they actually have a lot of indie developers down there. You'd be surprised. I went down to PAX years ago, and I actually did enjoy it. I actually did enjoy seeing some new games I never heard of. and one of those games was like really good, and I'm surprised it didn't get coverage like it should, but it was actually a fun game. And I forgot what that game was called, but I have it on my Nintendo Switch, and I played it and I really enjoyed it.
How do you think the games journalists decide what games they're going to cover and promote and which ones they're not?
I think it's more like it's more like if a game developer, like most of the time they get it from a studio, or they cover, like I know that when I try to ask people online one time when I was on a website, Michael was upset with me about the fact that there was these developers that were trying to put out their games, and I wanted to promote these games, and I basically told him, hey, you can go to this website and see if we can promote your game and see if anybody wants to show it. But now I realized, a lot of them are not interested in that. When I because when I asked if it was okay if we could promote these games. He said no, we can't. And I asked him why not, because he didn't want the a certain type of hobo debs. He called them hobo debs.
What was a hobo dev?
I don't know what it meant, but it meant like, people that are broke and poor.
Did he think that they couldn't make good games too, or
Yeah, he thinks they couldn't make any good games.
what do you think about games journalism?
There's still hope for it. There's still a lot of good hope for some game journalists, but hopefully Kotaku will die soon. Because the only website that I actually go to, and their YouTube content's pretty good, is Gamers Nexus, because they were actually the ones that covered a lot of good stories, like the Walmart thing. But I'm surprised Kerensky, when I recommended them, Kerensky didn't bother to. He just gave the stories to people who write articles about uh, driving around GTA 5 while black articles.
Koretsky, as in Michael Koretsky, who did the FPGA play?
Yeah, yeah. He also did the what was that games journalist name? Chronicle. He talked about him. He made an awards. He made an awards.
The Kunkel Awards.
Yeah, the Kunkel Awards, the Kuckler, the Kuckler Awards, or something like that. But which what I called it, because that was the last time he did it. And he basically chose some game journalists that were basically writing articles about, driving. Like I kind of called those articles the driving around GTA 5 while that's pretty much what it was. All the articles that he had, and I criticized it, were all articles about driving while black in GTA 5.
Well, I don't think Koretsky set up the Kunkel Awards, but I don't think he was the one who judged them. I think that was
Yeah, a lot of the judges were basically just picking those things because they thought they were good articles that basically were interesting to bring up. But I thought maybe because Gamers Nexus brought up the issue about what Walmart was doing, selling a PC at $1,000, but the parts inside that thing were crap. And they exposed, like they basically teared out the computer and showed that some of these parts were less than 30 to $40.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's pretty common with the big box stores
Yeah,
and the people who manufacture the
and they were
quote unquote
selling them
gaming
for,
computers
and they were
pre-built.
selling them for 1,000 for $1,500.
What kind of reforms do you like to have seen happen?
I hope that gaming journalists would actually, for once do their job and try their best to at least cover something interesting. At least cover like the gaming, sphere of things. At least make reviews that actually involve telling people that there's certain issues with the game, like bugs, like like problems, like crashes and everything. But instead, you get these people complaining about uh that this game has like boobies in it and therefore we need to censor this. I don't like this stuff. This stuff offends me type of reviews.
Well, you find the more technical aspects interesting, you say, right?
Yeah,
What if other people find the Grand Theft Auto playing Grand Theft Auto while black articles interesting?
it gets boring.
So you just choose not to go to those websites like Kotaku, right?
Yeah, yeah, I choose not to go to those websites like Kotaku. Like that's what I've been doing for years. Even though, yeah, sometimes I occasionally go to Kotaku to read the most death-defying article they ever made. But they should have instead of complaining about certain things, they could have just flat out said, "Hey, this game actually had actual issues." Because I actually bought one of the games and they could have explained, hey, there's some technical issues with this game, that is something wrong with it. And the only issue that I had with this game, like they didn't bother to talk about, was the fact that you had to be always online.
But if they want to write these articles saying, "Here's what it's like to play Grand Theft Auto when black,"
Yeah,
and you don't like to read these articles and you choose not to read them, it sounds like the problem's solved, right?
yeah, they can write it. It's just it gets really repetitive when they're writing the same article over and over again.
Is
It's
there?
like
Go ahead.
it's like I'll explain it. Like you basically are telling people, like I think it was Patricia Hernandez wrote an article about her traumatization of what happened to her while playing Super Mario Brothers. You may recall that article.
Uh, super. I don't believe so, but there's so many articles.
Yeah, she wrote an article and people were like making like she basically was traumatized when she was playing Super Mario Brothers, and she basically talked about her experience being raped while playing Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, fuck. I don't remember enough of this controversy to like jump into
Yeah,
it, but I do
yeah,
vaguely
and
remember what you're
that's the
talking about.
reason why Kotaku is being, blacklisted by Nintendo, because they don't want anything to do with them.
Do you think it's a problem if game publishers blacklist gaming publications?
I think the problem is that when they write uh accusations against them that are far beyond what you would expect, yeah, you would probably they would probably like keep far away from you. I understand that there are PR companies that try to handle the game journalists and everything, because I worked with a guy who did this. He had to he had to talk to the PR company and say, "Hey, I want to know, why am I not getting a review copy of this game?" It's because the company it's because Nintendo does not wish to, they basically blacklisted me for that reason, because of an article that I made about them. And I'm like, "Oh," and he was like, "Okay." And that's what happens. Like in the business world, they tend to take that seriously. If you say something negative about them, they they eventually, because you have to understand, they said some ridiculous stuff about Nintendo in the past, like shoving a Wii U controller up your ass type of, actually the Joy Cons up your ass type of situation. And they don't want anything to do with that guy. Would you involve yourself with a guy who shoves a Joy-Con up your ass if you were the president of Nintendo?
Probably not.
That's exactly the reason.
Do you think that the games press was responsive to calls for reform?
Some of them were, because I know a lot of them care about their reputation of being the source of the gaming community, trying to tell people about these games, trying to tell people about the technology, trying to get into, trying to tell people, hey, we're trying to be the truthful here. We're trying to show people like they actually take their job seriously, type of deal.
If you were the editor-in-chief of a gaming website and some of your employees were credibly accused of ethical violations, what would you have done?
I would have a talk with them. That's what I would do. I would actually talk to them about this issue and ask them, what did you do? Why? And of course, the ethical violation here is that you basically lied to people about this. You're not supposed to lie to people. And I would actually tell them this. Are you sure you had it right? And I would ask him. And then I would actually check with the other with other sources about this to see if this guy was basically bullshitting me out of the whole thing, and have a long talk with him about this whole issue. Because that's the common thing. They usually talk to them. I wouldn't try to fire them or bully them or tell them like, hey, you can write whatever you want, but try not to bullshit people. Would you agree with that?
I obviously don't support bullying people or harassing them,
Yeah,
but
because I would tell them like, look, you wrote this article, you may need to write it again or correct a lot of the stuff that's in this article, because apparently there's some people complaining about you violating some ethical standards that you basically lied on the article or something like that.
I mean, I would have you'd have to investigate the situation, find out
Yeah,
what the
and I would
seriousness of the offense was, and then mete out whatever the appropriate, I guess, quote unquote, punishment would be for that offense. Like,
yeah, I would probably tell them, look, you won't write an article for the next 2 weeks. I won't let you cover this thing again, or put them somewhere else,
do you have any
or
thought?
fire them, depending on the situation.
Do you have any thoughts on deep freeze?
Deep freeze, I think deep freeze is okay. I just feel bad that there's certain websites that didn't get any love, and I understand that a lot of them tried their best to be, fair and just, but sadly, Deep Freeze tries its best too. Like, I think they actually did a good job trying to point out the issues that they have with games journalists and such,
If
and even
gamer
journalists in general too.
if GamerGate's about ethics in games journalism, why do you think deep freeze didn't get that much attention as you'd have liked to have seen?
It's because I guess they weren't really, they only got noticed on Reddit, on Kotaku and Action. They didn't get like mainstream appeal because they weren't well known. They only gotten in, because you have to understand, they only did this because it was in response to the games journalist. But people will assume, oh, these people are gamer gators, because that was founded around Gamergate. They won't listen to them.
So you think that there was a perception by games journalists or other people
Yeah,
that because Deep Freeze was created by people who leaned more pro Gamergate
yeah,
or were involved with Gamergate, that it shouldn't be taken seriously?
yeah.
Do you have any thoughts
'Cause
on? You talked about Michael Koretsky before, but do you have any thoughts on the SPJ Airplay conference?
I remember watching that airplay conference. Even I felt bad that they had to call the fire department because of a bomb threat, and
Well, I
it
think
said
the
that
police came, right? They
yeah,
evacuated the building.
because they were upset with, like, people were upset with a lot of things that were going on. Especially, yes, I kind of agree with the whole Milo thing. Yes, Milo could have shut up and just and let someone else talk. But the thing was, like, should they have another airplay? I remember there was a plan for another airplay, but that got canceled.
Yes, I investigated that at the time. I
Yeah,
believe that it was more incompetence on the part of the organizer than scamming, but who knows?
yeah. And that's kind of how I felt about this whole situation. Like, yeah, this wasn't gonna work out for a Gamergate or anything in particular, because I after realizing what was going on, yeah, it just didn't really work out. People didn't want to listen. People didn't care. It just happened to be that way.
Some people believe that Gamergate should have ended after Airplay. Do you have any thoughts on
It
that?
it should have, but it didn't. It kept continuing because people were so angry and so mad about the whole situation.
So you were at the time, were you in the end Gamergate camp when Airplay came around?
Yeah, even I talked to Diviner about it too when he wanted to leave.
Yeah, I talked to Diviner too. we
Yeah, I
don't.
did a lot
We've
of
already
things with
talked
him.
about that in depth, though.
Yeah, and I felt bad for him. Like, yeah, it got to that breaking point that people were getting stressed and frustrated to the point that they just wanted to give up and go. And I don't hold it against them, because a lot of people left because of those reasons, because they didn't care to listen to us. They didn't care about that. And I even agreed with the guys. You remember the LMAO gang?
Oh yes, the trolling group,
Yeah,
ILMAO.
yeah, team.
I team was I team.
Yeah, A team. I talked to them about that too, and I kind of agreed with them a lot of things, because the issue that they had with Gamergate was that people were asking for money, asking for donations for certain things, like, and I kind of agreed upon that, because it got to that breaking point that people were asking us to fund certain things like websites, um, games and such. And it was a failed it was kind of, especially the whole code thing. I think we helped fund this coding uh website. I forgot what it was called, teaching people how to code, teaching kids how to code. But instead it turned out to be a scam, which basically was a coding for kids, coding for female girls instead of boys and girls. No, it's females.
Is there a problem with that?
It's nothing wrong with that. It's just I think they should have had it equal. Boys, girls should actually learn to code too.
Is there? Do you have a problem if there's a charity that only helps girls learn how to code?
I don't have a problem with it, but it's just that it should have been equal, because it was the intention of that website that they were funding was to fund a website to help educate people on how to code. Anybody can learn. That was the whole intention, but instead it turned into a disaster.
What was the IE team?
The A team,
Yeah.
like you said, they were a troll group that kind of got fed up with Gamergate and the other side too. Because remember, they were the ones that exposed I forgot her name, the dog, the Doge girl, whatever her name is, the Doge girl.
I don't remember. Can you
Uh,
explain it?
it, I think it was Sophie, Sarah.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. The one who
Yeah,
ended up being a pedophile.
yeah, Sarah Neinberg.
Well, now you have to put allegedly because you said her name.
Allegedly, she did. Now, they were the ones that exposed the whole situation with her because she kind of denied that she was the founder of the website, the Final Fantasy website, which had a history of drama, as I recalled. And I heard a lot of the drama that happened on that website, especially the crazy cult leader that they had on that website that claimed to be Gaia. Remember, and I heard about that. Like this website had a lot of dark history, and a lot of it was creepy ass shit that happened on the Final Fantasy website. This was a fan website dedicated to fans, and of course, it had a lot of shitty history of drama that happened on that website, especially with Sarah Neinberg.
Yes, and
And
obviously there was some other stuff going on in the background of that website, in
yeah,
the
she
chat
tried to,
rooms
yeah, in the chat rooms
and
in
the
the
forums, I
ICR
guess too. But
and the forums too. And the thing that they had an issue with Sarah Neinberg, and keep this in mind, she said, even though yes, she was a troll, but she said these things, even put a picture up of her own cousin who was 8 years old at the time, which kind of disturbed a lot of people. It got B involved in this whole thing. The board known as B, which is random, they got involved, and because of the fact that she started shit with 8chan, accusing them of being pedophiles, and then they went full force on her. It wasn't Gamergate that was involved. It was the fact that 8chan got accused of some serious shit, and this pissed off B because B found out what happened because they were trying to do like honey traps and all this other stuff that happened on the board, trying to get them, to swallow the bait. That was what was going on.
so,
And
God,
this led to the situation to where they went full force on Sarah Neinberg. Keep in mind, this was beef many from decades ago, guys. Nothing against Sarah. I was pissed off at Sarah at the time because of her obnoxious trolling. She basically got involved in this whole situation, gaslighting and attacking people to the point that people were pissed off at her. But it got to that breaking point when A team exposed her, B got involved and started going. And keep in mind, these are third party trolls that were involved, not Gamergate, third party. They were on both sides they were attacking both sides of the issue. They didn't like Ralph. They didn't like Sarah because they were bad actors. That was the thing that I talked to them about.
all right. So, you talked with the I team people. These were, as you say, third party trolls.
Yeah, they were third party
Why did you want to talk with them? Did you seek them out? Did they seek you out? How did this happen?
because I knew one of them at the time because they were in GamerGate, and of course they were opposing. They were posing as that, and at the time, I kind of agreed with them when they made that argument.
Do you think that there were a lot of these third-party trolls who supported Gamergate in secret? And
No, I think a lot of them were concerned about both sides of the situation and wanted Gamergate to end at the same time because it got to that breaking point that because they wanted a lot of, like, for example, wanted government intervention because of the fact that they assumed that this was a harassment campaign, but really it was just a bunch of people talking about the issues with games journalism. And at the time, people were kind of scared that government intervention will happen, and thus it would also hurt third party trolls. That's what I think.
well, if the trolls were concerned about government intervention to stop people from trolling,
Yeah.
doesn't it
Which
seem like
already
they're
which already did, which already did, because the UK actually is is actually putting out laws against trolling and harassment because it got really bad in the UK from what I heard, and they had to make laws to protect people from being harassed online, and this caused a lot of problems too because right now the UK government's doing it, but it's possibly now the US is considering putting those laws in.
well, it seems like if the if these trolls were trying to stop government regulation, it would seem like their actions made it more likely.
Yeah, made it more likely that they that the government will probably put put enforce laws on trolls now.
I'm interviewing two trolls actually.
Yeah.
I'm interviewing Avis. He was 14 years old. Didn't even know what Gamergate was, he says. He was just a
Ah.
guy who
So.
him and his friends wanted to harass social justice warriors on the internet for the lulz. That's what he says. And
Yeah.
he got we got blamed for a lot of the stuff that he did. Um,
Yeah. So the FBI. So is that the kid with the FBI record?
no, this is somebody else. Yeah,
Yeah, because if it was, I'd be laughing at the kid, and they would probably put out his name out by now.
yeah. He was 14 years old at the time. He says, and that he just I'm interviewing him. We'll see what he says. But I've talked to him a
Yeah.
few times in public and private about it, and extensively. He talked about it 2 days ago,
Yeah, and
and
I'm not gonna judge the kid, but there was that FBI report about that troll.
yeah. The FBI they didn't arrest him, I believe, right? They just warned him because he was a minor, maybe, or I don't know the
Yeah,
details.
no, they interviewed the guy. They interviewed the kid, and he basically said, I wanted to because she was full of shit, and I think it was not, it wasn't,
It was
it
Anita, I
was
believe, right?
Brianna. It was
Or what?
no,
I
it was
don't know.
Brianna Wu.
Was it? Okay.
Brianna Wu. I think it was Brianna Wu at the time, and they basically he thought like it's the same with that other guy. Remember, I
The
forgot his
Brazilian
name.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he basically said it was she believed he believed that Anita was a religious fundamentalist. That's what he said.
I'm also interviewing Pterodax.
Oh, Pterodax, yeah, yeah, yeah. Ask him if he's going to vote for Obama in 2024.
Did you support email campaigns like Operation Disrespectful Nod?
I did that. Yeah, I did write an article. I did send out that letter to Intel.
Do you think that by hurting the pocketbook of these companies, these gaming websites, that you made it more or less likely that they would engage in reforms or come to the table?
Well, here's the thing. Right now, I do feel bad for some websites. For example, like there there's that situation with websites. Like I know Google tried to not have like what was that one website called? Niche Gamer. I know that that was another thing. There was also Ralph Retort. Remember how Ralph Retort was treated by Google?
Yeah, he got his ads pulled, I believe, which I don't have a great deal of sympathy for Mr. Ralph.
Yeah, I don't either because right now is like he's died. He has AIDS now. He has the he has the virus in him, and that's because of all the drugs he was taking and all the prostitutes he was screwing. So yeah,
I mean, allegedly, but
allegedly, yes, allegedly. So it's kind of funny how people are like laughing about that stuff about him. But as far as I know, there are websites out there that, report things and they get their ads pulled out by Google and Google controls everything. But of course, they're not going to pay them that much because right now Google's having problems as well with advertising.
were you involved with the creative freedom side of Gamergate?
I think so too. Yeah, there was also a lot of other people out there that wanted to make games but were too afraid to make those games. But a lot but I think I'm pretty sure that we've seen a lot of those games come out and they were making them for a lot of reasons. I know there's like game designers that were secretly supportive of Gamergate, and I talked to one of them and they didn't want to give out their name. Out of respect for the guy, he seemed like a good guy.
Why were they?
And
Go ahead.
but the issues that they had with for example, crunch time, they had an issue with that. We were discussing about the issues with crunch time and all those other things that happen within the games industry, such as long hours. Because you have to understand, programming is not an easy thing. It's like if you try to program a D&D manual, it would probably take a decade to program a D&D manual in a video game.
God, I hope it doesn't take me a decade to edit this book.
you probably you'd probably be expecting it to be put on CD-ROM or something, or you can get it on Amazon if you want to publish it there too.
Yeah, I published my first book on Amazon, self-publishing.
Yeah,
Why were the game developers afraid? Some of them.
I think it's because the climate that right now is evolving into the more lenient side of things of being you can't be conservative, you can't be, because they were afraid that they may get fired or something because of what they believe in.
What do you think of the argument about video games causing or reinforcing real-world sexist attitudes?
It's been proven false from what I understand, if there's any research as they claim that causes it.
Some political activists believed that using social media campaigns to demand artists change artistic elements of their work was a good thing, such as hashtag change the cover. What do you think of this tactic?
Well, changing the cover was that whole Batman situation. The guy actually, from what I understand, did change the cover. But
Yes.
the sad part is he was being accused of well, by a OnlyFans model of being, of being inappropriately touching her.
I mean, that was what, years later, right?
Yeah, that was years
Yeah,
later.
I can't verify that that's true. I've not heard this story, but
Yeah, well, it was actually an accusation against him, and the girl, of course, a lot of people were skeptical because she was linking her OnlyFans account, which says kind of kind of sends red flags that she is trying to do this for money
well,
and attention. That was kind of what was going on because she had a relationship with the guy, and the guy who did the whole change the cover thing.
the person who made the comic book cover, or
Yeah,
the people who attacked it.
who made the person who made the comic book cover.
Where do you think the lines are between criticism and censorship?
If they're being assholes about it, trying to be like, oh, this video game is kind of gay. Does that draw the line if I say that?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm asking you.
Yeah, because it's like people kind of get offended about me saying something in the like comment wise, saying that I believe Baldur's Gate 3 is forcing me to suck a tentacles sucking tentacles without my consent. I didn't agree to this, but the game actually does let you choose not to suck a guy's tentacles, which is a good thing. But at the same time, people would say, "Oh, this game is promoting LGBTQ. I don't like it." That's fine. Doesn't mean I'm gonna say that I hate the LGBTQ or anything like that. I think a lot of games have a lot of like choice. Like I kind of agree with a lot of people. Like if you want to play a game with LGBTQ inclusivity, that's fine. If you don't want it, that's fine. There's other games that you can play like Tetris.
So you're cool with people making making and playing the games that they want to make and play, and you don't.
Yeah, yeah, I'm cool with that. I don't care if you're playing a game where it involves you trying to suck a guy's dick in order to save the world. Would you do it? Would you do it? Would you
Sure.
do it?
Would I play the game or would I suck the dick?
Yes, play the game and then suck the dick.
Well, you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess, right?
Yeah, like you could play that game and still get away with saving the world. But it's like I know people get offended by certain games. It's like, dude, just leave it be. If you don't like it, don't play it. It's that simple. No one's trying to force you to play the game. No one's forcing you to suck a guy's dick. No one's forcing you to to uh to touch a woman's breast. No one's forcing you to do that. You have a choice not to play the game, not to do these things in the game. You could do other things in the game besides doing that cuz if the game allows you to do it. If it doesn't, oh well, don't play it.
Do you have any thoughts on the removal of content from some foreign games when they are localized?
I think it's kind of sad, really, because now these days I understand that countries do have a different set of values, and people don't seem to get that. Like, for example, Saudi Arabia, they think everything's LGBTQ inclusive down there, but it's not. Sad but true in this reality that we live in. Not everything's gonna be inclusive every time, but even in the US, we do have certain values and things that we have.
I'd
And
like
so
to, go ahead.
good.
I'd like to think that in the United States our values are based on individual liberty
Yeah.
and autonomy and
Yeah,
choice.
but sadly other countries don't think so either. They have their own set of values that they follow. Like China has their own set of values, Russia has their own set of values, Japan has its own set of values. Name any country that has its own set of values that doesn't fit the American value.
Isn't part of us living together in a global economy and a global society and a global civilization increasingly perhaps this
Yeah,
idea that we're going to take in Japanese culture, and if they have certain artistic works that they want to show us, that it's good that we get to experience those artistic works,
yeah.
even if
Like,
some people in the United States might be upset by those artistic works.
well, let's put it this way: you live in a like I live up in Washington, for example, and I see a lot of people. I see a lot of different people. I seen Ukrainian people live up here. I seen like Russian people live up here. I seen, you know, Vietnamese people live up here. I seen like Koreans live up here. I seen Japanese people live up here because they like it there, like it up here. But in other states, for example, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised where people like to live at. Like most people in Mexico like California because California has a big Mexican culture down there. And even in Texas, they also have a big culture down there with Mexicans living up there. Florida has a big culture out there. Same with right now. I seen a bunch of Mexicans are moving up in Washington, which I never seen before, but I'm surprised they're there, and including the Guatemalans too, and Ecuadorians as well. Seen a lot of them. You'd be surprised if I get exposed to them. You get to know them better, like
Well,
Jamaicans.
it does seem like. Oh, sorry, you were going to say about Jamaicans and how you get to know them better.
Yeah, like you get to know these people. You get to know a lot of these people when you live your life. Like either you met them by fate or by accident. You'd be surprised what you learn about them culturally.
Some critics argue that Gamergate was mostly or entirely right wing. Do you think that is accurate?
No, because I did see some left wing people supporting it too. Even though they dislike the people within it, they tried their best to get along with them.
Do you want to talk about your political views or philosophy?
I'm I'm very neutral. Sometimes I can lean towards right. Sometimes I can lean towards left. It depends on how I am. I'm more of a centrist, if anything. I'm an asshole. That's why I'm a centrist.
Have your politics changed since Gamergate or due to Gamergate?
I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for a third party. If everyone thinks I vote for Trump, therefore Trump is evil, I'm just like, no, I voted for third party because I love my family to death. I love my family, but they didn't want me to vote for Trump, and I don't like Biden because right now Biden is dealing with a situation to where he's gonna have to deal with the fact that that his uh his committee of people that are in the White House are making boo boos right now.
What are they doing wrong, you think?
Let's just say, if you didn't hear about this, they posted a picture of Delta Force.
No, I didn't hear
Their
about this.
actual, Yeah, what happened was they actually revealed their faces on the they accidentally revealed a lot of the Delta Force faces on Instagram, which which kind of was a big mistake because that would put a lot of the members of Delta Force in danger if the enemy spots them around the corner of the street in Israel right now because of the whole conflict that's going on. Right now, Delta Force is being deployed in Israel.
Oh, I do see this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And the things I didn't like was the whole conversation with the Pope about the Negro Leagues.
What did he say?
There was a video. There's a clip of him talking to the Pope about the Negro Leagues. Would you believe that exists?
Maybe. I mean, I think that like the Negro Leagues for baseball were like a major part of American history.
Yeah, it was a part of major. Like he brings it up every time, but he accidentally slipped that he thought the Pope was what's his name. I'm very proud of you in the because I don't know. He has dementia. Like a lot of the stuff that he says is kind of like ridiculous. Like the whole like there's like a clip of him talking about but from what I understand he kind of slipped out something about Xi Jinping. Like he basically had like this brain like it's as if he has Alzheimer's or something. But I understand he's taking medication for this stuff.
Are you okay with gaming sites criticizing games from a political or religious lens, such as a Marxist, feminist, or Christian lens, or other
I
lens?
think I think it if they want to, they could do it in websites that are prevalent of doing this. If they want to make a website about like I understand that they have like the new term for the LBGTQ, the gamers. I forgot what it was called, gamers or something like that. I forgot what it's called.
I've not heard this.
It's spelled Gaymer.
Oh, that was a specific group, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's a group.
And do you have like an issue with this group, or
No, but it's an umbrella term according to some people.
what?
Identify
Gamer?
yeah. Like I'm pretty sure there's a website called tabletopgamers.org or gamers the LBG like I'm all for that. Like I'm pretty sure there's a community for that. But I think they need to make like a form or something to help these people.
Help them with what?
I don't know, issues because they keep bringing up like because I understand like the LGBTQ has a lot of issues and I think like Reddit is one of them, but if they want to make like a gaming community for LGBTQ, I think they should just make one for them and a website for the news and everything. That would actually be a cool idea for them if they actually would put out that thing. I'm pretty sure they have like because there's like groups and everything, but I think they need to make there's already a magazine dedicated to because I'm looking at the research right here. I'm looking it up. There's a website called Magazine, and there's a website called gamingmag.com. So if you want to go to that website, if you're LBGTQ, go to that website and go ahead and read their articles and see what they do because it's the home of queer geek culture, as they say, and you can go down there.
So do you have a problem with like the LGBTQ people writing for websites like The Escapist or um, IGN,
No,
GameSpot, whatever?
No, but when they write articles that are so ridiculous, I would laugh at them.
I would laugh at ridiculous articles too. I've done it plenty of times. There are many ridiculous articles. I'm just
Yeah,
not. Why do you think it's like an LGBTQ thing though?
like they always do the whole writing articles. Insomniac Spider-Man 2 confirms, like this is an example. Insomniac Spider-Man 2 confirms Black Cat is bisexual. Batman is gay in the video game of Batman. Stuff like that. Those are an example of articles that they write.
Do you think there can be any value in analyzing games or other works of art through a political lens?
If they want to. If they want to, I think they should put a separate site for that. A website that could probably do that for them. That would fit their ideas.
What do you think of the framing of Gamergate as the first battle of the culture war?
It was kind of true. It was a culture war, and it got to that breaking point that people were very much, fighting a cultural, battle with each other over bitter issues.
What do you think of the framing of Gamergate or the reaction to it as being a moral panic?
Yeah, I would agree with that. It was a moral panic for a lot of reasons.
What do you think of the framing of Gamergate as a battle between those who believe in small L liberal values and those who don't?
Not that I know of. I think there was some liberal, like I remember one guy made a video about this, that we were all liberals. And it's true, some of them were liberal about the whole issue about Gamergate, and it became an issue about free speech. That's when what's her name came in. You may remember the porn star that we all liked, but I feel bad for her.
You know Mercedes Carrera?
Yeah.
Well, she's currently standing trial.
Yeah, she's currently standing trial, but hopefully she gets out, because the only thing that's happening to her, and I'm gonna go ahead and say this, the only thing I will say that they should charge her for is the meth. That's the only thing they should be charging her for.
Do you
You know,
think that the allegation about the child rape was bad, or
I
was
think
fake? Was a false
it,
allegation?
it's a false allegation, because I do believe that the father was colluding with the daughter about this.
You've seen evidence of this, of the collusion?
Uh there was a breaking in the case about that, and I read the article. I think it was in AV. I think it was in AVN that wrote the article about this, and they basically point out in the court case that because they haven't set the bail. They basically made it the most expensive bail ever, and I felt bad for Mercedes. But at the same time, I had to unfollow her because of the whole meth situation with her, because I can confirm from people that know her, she does meth. But at the same time, I do feel bad for her about her daughter's situation, because the father tried to collude with her daughter to basically get her into trouble.
I don't.
Basically,
Good.
that's basically what happened in the court case. They were colluding. Basically, they were trying to convince the daughter to admit that Mercedes was being abusive towards her, which was not true.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the case to really comment on it. So,
Yeah, I read the court case. I probably need to look up the article.
did you interact with any anti-Gamergate people?
I think I did before, and I know I talked to the BLM people before.
About Gamergate?
Oh, no, it was over something else.
Captain Carbine, who I recently interviewed, praised you as a amazing moderator, and he says,
Well, I am not. I'm not amazing. I will do the. I would do if I was. I would do things in a way that would piss off people.
that's better content.
Yeah, I would probably give them like the whole 3 minute rule. If anyone tries to interrupt, I'm gonna add 3 minutes. I'm gonna add another minute to that person's conversation.
Well, I'm not sure Captain Carbine needs a hostile confrontation necessarily with an anti-Gamergate
No,
person.
yeah,
He's
I would probably moderate and equally try to be fair with everybody. I know that most people want their voices heard, but if they give out this bullshit, I would have to check their stuff
Oh yeah, of
and ask
course.
them
Yeah.
to clarify this. And I basically say, can you please tell me why did you do this?
Do you would you be willing, because I feel like he needs to have a conversation with someone across the aisle in like
Yeah,
a friendly way, but he says he'll only do it if you or someone
moderate.
of your caliber moderate the debate. Would you be willing to do that?
I think he wants me to do that because I think he needs somebody that could that would probably be like, okay. I think he wants me because the thing is, I didn't moderate for that one debate. I had to let people talk, and that turned into a really bad thing, to be honest with you. Because I do let people talk about certain things that they feel they need to bring it up, but it's kind of sad that he wants me to come in and try to fix the situation.
I don't think it's sad. I think it's that he trusts you and he thinks you'll do a
Yeah,
good job.
yeah. No, I think we need someone that's neutral. Because I'm just being honest with you. I don't think that that's gonna work.
Okay. Well, hey, let me know if you change your mind. I can set this up.
Yeah, because I'm trying to look up the situation with Mercedes Carrera because I know that she got into a really bad situation. I'm looking at the article.
Did you ever change anyone's mind on Gamergate?
Um, Not really. I know that there are people out there that may believe that we were the bad guys, and I know there's a lot of people that don't like us. Specifically, I know Mars Girl is an example of that.
Do you have any friends on the other side?
No, I have no friends. I
Well,
probably have a lot of enemies. A lot of them. I made friends in Gamergate. I still talk to you.
yeah. Well, JT, if you want to talk to some people from the other side, I can get you in touch. I know a ton of anti-Gamergate people. I'm interviewing a ton of anti-Gamergate people.
I saw a lot of them. It's funny as hell what happened. The whole debate about feminism gaming. That turned into, like, I had to be honest, it turned into a really big shit show. I get that some people disagree with the whole thing, but I think most people should try to. The problem was the moderation was terrible.
Thank you. I was the moderator.
Yeah, you should have.
No, I take the feedback. I like the feedback.
Yeah,
Tell me how I fucked up. I already know I fucked up. I had like 13 people on the panel. Like that's the fucking problem.
I know.
It was just too many people.
I,
If I had like 5 or 6, it would have been way better. Or even just like
I think
4.
I think the thing was is that the setup was kind of like, okay, there was only one guy that was debating the issue again about by anti Gamergate, and there was like five of them because they didn't feel safe because what's gonna
Well,
happen.
I mean, to be clear, like I'm the one who set up the panel with the first wave. Like I sent the
Yeah,
invites out. Like it's on me how the panel formed. But
I wish I could have showed up. I did show up to the live stream to watch because I was working at my job, and my phone microphone would probably sound terrible on the thing if I ever went in.
Well, the last like hour and a half, I feel, or hour and 15 minutes were pretty good because
Yeah,
we went from having 12 people to having 5. And
yeah.
that was a much better discussion. How could the Gamergate conversation have been more productive?
Well, let's put it this way. I do believe that if the journalist didn't try to, be st- telling everyone, "Oh, these people are white supremacists plotting to kill the Jews, and therefore we need to silence them online," because they were listening. Like the journalists were basically, telling everyone that
Why do you think they said that?
because they were scared that we basically exposed their little, charade.
Do you have any thoughts on Not Your Shield?
I think Not Your Shield is pretty good because basically they were trying to expose the hypocrisy within games journalism because they were saying these things about like, oh, we need to put minorities into these jobs and everything, but when you find out, they never really do. Because I actually, when you hear about the stories that happen within Blizzard and also in Wizards of the Coast, for example, you heard about that guy that worked at Blizzard.
Oh yeah, yeah, we've
He
all
was,
heard.
yeah, he was an African American man who basically was trying to work there,
Oh, I thought you were
and
about a different story. I'm sorry. I thought you were about the one with the sexual harassment allegations.
yeah, that the guy basically felt like he was a token black man at the job. He was trying to do his job, but they didn't want to listen to him.
That sounds like a problem.
Yeah, because he was trying to write up stuff for D&D and all that stuff, and they basically just put him to the side and not care. He was just the token black guy that was just working at the job, and he basically said, I left, I don't care,
So
because go ahead.
no, I was gonna move on to a different question. Go ahead.
Yeah, the guy basically quit. Like he didn't want to deal with them anymore because he was just a diversity hire that they were trying to use to cover up the criticisms that were being made against them at Wizards of the Coast. And of course, Wizards of the Coast did change a lot of things. Like the things that I didn't like was that they discontinued Dark Sun, and I read Dark Sun, and that's something that they could get into because I know the LBGTQ would probably get into it because it promotes what was that called? Polyamorous relationships. And I read the book, and like I read one of the books from Dark Sun, and it did describe a polyamorous relationship with one female and two males.
Some websites banned discussion of Gamergate. Why do you think that is?
It's because they don't want because they heard from all side they heard from the other side that, oh, these people are Nazis, these people are sexist, racist, and misogynist, they're plotting to kill the Jews, they're plotting to kill the Jews. I heard that a lot. And that's what they believe. And it caused a moral panic situation. Like they think we're a bunch of Satanists that play D&D. That's what they believe.
All right, so JT,
Mhm.
when Milo Yiannopoulos published an article on Breitbart outing Brianna Wu as being transgender, what did you think of that?
It was no surprise. It was no surprise. But Brianna Wu had dealt a lot of things. Like a lot of people couldn't believe her on her bullshit. And it's not because she was transgender. It's because a lot of people had a hard time believing in Gamergate what she believes that we harassed her when it was some random person that we had no involvement with, claiming that we did this, claiming that we harmed her.
I mean, some people might see Milo's article as being harm.
Did her husband leave her when the
No,
article
but
was
there's
posted?
no journalistic reason, as far as I can tell,
I know.
for him
And
to include this aspect in his story.
yes, but the only thing that only caused her harm was a guy that basically claimed that if you don't street race with me, I will come to your house and I forgot that guy's name.
Oh, the YouTube guy who was completely unrelated to GG, but and was a
Yeah,
comedy YouTuber, I believe, right?
yeah, he was a comedy slash
Like
prankster.
like a prank guy, yeah.
Yeah, he basically
Jace
he basically
Connors, was it?
yeah, Chase Connors, and he basically claimed that's the only guy that did more harm to her than he basically challenging her to a street race. and claimed that by the accident that was caused by her. It was like the most ridiculous thing ever happened. But as far as I know, that did more harm to her than ever. But here's the thing: like she even claimed that she was harassed by us when really she posted all the stuff herself. Especially that whole, she deleted that whole thing and it was saved on whatchamacallit, on Steam. Like people had like archives of this. But the problem is like I don't have a problem with her. I think she's just doing this to be an opportunist. That's what I believe. I don't believe she got harassed. I think she just did this as an opportunist because she was a Republican, according to some sources I talked to. Now she's like a Democrat because she used to be involved in politics, and now she still is, and she's trying to get herself into politics right now.
Oh, I
She's
know.
trying to
I'm in the same space as her right now, politically,
yeah.
in terms of streaming circles.
Yes, she's going to get involved in politics by claiming that she's going to become the senator of the of some state.
No, well, she was running for Congress, but she
Yeah,
lost, and now she's trying to run a super PAC.
yeah, super PAC.
Yeah.
Good luck.
But JT, you say Gamergate didn't harass her,
I
but
think I think a lot of people, the only thing that they harassed her was the fact that the whole exposure of her being trans.
I mean that sounds like kind of a big part of her life that got revealed to the
Yeah,
public for no reason, right?
yeah, yeah, and we all laughed about it. I'll admit to that.
Well, you do you want to talk about your video?
Yeah, I think that was the one where I basically brought it up, and I had to talk about that because it was like, yeah, that's what happened. Because I was only trying to document. I was only going to try to tell what happened. At the time, no one bothered to care about the whole trans issue, including myself. I'll admit to that. But I understand people hate the word dead naming. I understand that people hate the word. It was kind of the issue that people had.
I mean, if there's a journalistic reason to put that out there, I think that's fine. But if there's not a journalistic reason, then it's looking a lot like harassment.
Yeah, but I actually did that to report on it. That was the issue. That was journalistic side of the story of what happened.
And
Because
go ahead.
I'll admit that was the wrong thing to do, but I had to report as is. That's what happened.
And I will say, to your credit, you did try to be somewhat. I didn't see the whole video, but from the beginning that I saw, you did try to be somewhat careful in how you approached it. And you're like, I know we shouldn't talk about this, but I feel like I have to as a reporter or something along those lines. Or I feel like you have to
Yeah.
discuss it. So like, I will you to your credit, you did try to be careful with it, but like I'm still not sure. Well, what was your reasoning at the time?
At the time, I had to report it because it was just like, yeah, this is what happened. This is what they accused. That's what that was what was being said about her, and what was said about her was by a person. But I'm going to correct this. It wasn't Milo that exposed her. It was a person named Seattle for Truth that exposed her.
Okay, but Milo wrote the article later on.
Yeah,
Okay.
more Milo wrote the article later on, and I know who I actually talked to Seattle for Truth when back in the days, and then sadly he murdered his own dad over the politics. Because I lived in Washington, but I didn't live in Seattle. He lived up there. And I feel bad that that guy was insane for
He
killing his
was
own dad.
indeed. He was
Yeah,
indeed insane.
yeah, but the thing was, in the video that he made about Gamergate, he wasn't lying about the parts that involved academics, but people kind of criticize it as, oh, this is conspiratorial. This is conspiratorial. There were certain parts that were true and certain parts that were said in that video. And I watched that whole video myself.
The documentary he did?
Yeah. And people criticize it as being too conspiratorial. Even on Reddit, they kind of like the people on Kotaku and Action were like criticizing it as being too conspiratorial. When a lot of it was true. Some of the parts were true, some of the parts were bullshit.
Yeah, and I have this weird incident with Seattle for Truth. Um,
Yeah.
that he defended me from a doxer,
Yeah.
which is like
Because
kind of a weird thing because like he
they were
obviously
they were digging into, like, you have to understand, like, at the time they were digging information, like reading stuff, but he was also the one that put out the, like, you remember what's his name, King of Pole.
he was involved before I was involved with GG.
Yeah, what happened was he Seattle for Truth gave him some information about what was going on, and some of the stuff he was trying to he gave King of Pole false information about certain things, and that's what happened to King of Pole. He got discredited because of the fact that Seattle for Truth, who happens to be a digger of information, gave him that information, gave him false information because he wanted to discredit King of Pole for what he did last time. Because he kind of they investigated some stuff that has not yet been uh, confirmed, but King of Pole blurted it out to people, and that's what caused Seattle for Truth to resent him. And he told me about that.
Yeah,
because
Seattle. He
yeah, go ahead.
always he would always he wasn't like terrible at like even like doing research on stuff, but he would always draw huge conclusions. It seemed with very little evidence.
Yeah, with very little evidence that it's not been confirmed or it's true or not. And this is what kind of caused a lot of people to um, be upset with him for a lot of reasons because he basically pointed out these conspiracies. Like he was a conspiracy theorist. And that's what caused a lot of people to resent him because he basically made a video. And I know KIA got involved and banned him from posting on there because he said he insulted them, calling them cucks.
Well, there might have been more to it than I'm pretty sure you can insult them fine. There might have been more to that story about why they banned him. I don't know all the details, so.
They banned me for basically making a joke.
What was the joke?
Oh, just basically getting upset with me for saying that there's a plot to kill the Jews, and then it happened years later.
Well, he killed his dad.
Yeah, he killed his dad. But for me, when KIA banned me, they banned me for saying there's a plot to kill the Jews, and then years later, that it happened in Texas. No one took my word for it, but I said it. That's the ultimate truth of the matter.
How important to you was it that bad actors be condemned? And some would say Seattle was, but
Yeah, he was a bad actor because he was just trolling. Same with
well,
everyone else,
he was. I've
including
talked.
myself, I believe, because people thought I was a bad actor.
See, it's sort of weird because I've talked with Seattle a few times on stream, and
Mhm.
he even says I don't believe a lot of the conspiracies I put out there in my videos. He says
Yeah,
that he's putting it out there to explore it. It's fun to talk about, but I
yeah,
don't
it's
know
fun
if I
to
believe
talk
a lot
about.
of it. That's what he
And also,
basically said.
he told me it's also to make you think. That was the other thing that he mentioned. Like, it's also to make you think. Like, even if it's not true, you can decide for yourself it's not true. Because I don't know why people would not think maybe he's telling the truth, maybe he's lying, but it's up to you to decide what you want to think about. Like that's why most people thought Seattle for Truth was full of shit, and still to this day, people find it. Yeah, he's full of shit, but he kind of discredited King of Pole by giving him false information. You remember that letter that he was given
Again,
about
I wasn't involved with GamerGate in the early months, so
at the time? Yeah, I was involved. I remembered some of it. I can't remember all what happened, but I do recall there was an incident where it involved it was the Stephen Totillo. I think it was like a Stephen Facebook post about. Actually, it wasn't Stephen Totillo. It was the founder of Wikipedia.
Jimmy Wales.
Yeah, and the whole situation with Jimmy Wells and Gamergate, and oh boy, I recall that one was when Jimmy Wells was asking for donations at the time, and people were giving like Jimmy basically was saying, "Give me money, and I'll give you a chance to write whatever article you want on Gamergate." That's the intention that I believe it was, and people were like, "Sure, let me write some stuff about
Wait, hang
Gamergate."
on. That's like a serious allegation against Jimmy Wales. I don't know if that's exactly how it went down.
That's probably the allegation that I'm going to make.
Okay. Well, why
Yeah,
did
but
people think you were a bad actor, JT?
probably because because I had some
Some
critics that
people, I
were,
should say.
yeah, some people thought I was a bad actor because of my YouTube channel, and you know how e-celebs and everything
Hmm.
are. That's probably like a lot of people. I understand the Chans didn't like the e-celebs. I wasn't an e-celeb. I wasn't. Nor did I. Nor did I have a, a Patreon or anything like that. But this is the problem. I was only trying to report as it is what I found. But I guess a lot of people found it hard to believe, especially content wise. I wasn't getting much attention. I didn't care for it. But I did discuss a lot of the stuff that happened, especially with a lot of people, and even talk to people about it. And it's sort of Gamergate sort of evolved into this movement that basically was talking about journalism and about games journalism and how we were being treated and how people perceived us as, the bad guys, the Nazis from World War II. Like they think we were plotting to kill the Jews. This caused a lot of problems, especially with what was said about us and what they thought about us. And it caused a lot of problems. Like all I wanted to do was to correct the issue, was to point out that the that Zoe Quinn, because of the whole casting couch culture thing. I felt bad for Zoe Quinn at first, but when you realize what Zoe Quinn had done, especially trying to, maintain her image as this, sweet and innocent person, but really she's not a sweet and innocent person based on her actions, especially trying to make a game that people paid a lot of money to and hope for her to make this game. She claims to be this game developer, but she doesn't really, she's taking years and months not making this game. Like there's not many updates. That's been like people were complaining about the updates and everything, that she couldn't gain access to her account and all this stuff. Like, come on, Zoe, you can make this game. Everyone, even if you're not the best at it, you could have done better. People were wondering uh, about this game that you were creating, and you suddenly just give up. And you want to be known as a game developer. You want to be known as this great writer, but at the same time, you could have finished that great project that you had, even if you didn't make a lot of money off of it. You could have asked. You could have asked what should we call it? Epic Games to give you the funding for it, so that you could get your game on, make that game that you always wanted on time, and still get reap the benefits of making that game.
Well, Sargon of Akkad also never finished his game that he also kickstarted like Zoe Quinn
I
did.
know. I know the Necromancer game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't happen. And the guy, from what I understand, there was like a. Did he refund the money? No.
That's sort of a controversial point. As far as I'm aware, he offered refunds to people who wanted, but I'm not sure if he. I don't think he proactively, as far as I can tell. I don't know the details, but as far
I
as I can
know.
tell, he didn't proactively refund everybody. It's you had to request a refund.
Yeah, and still hasn't been made yet.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I I would say, yeah, Sargon still made that. That was his huge mistake there. And I don't hate the guy. He's doing that whole Lotus Eaters thing, which that's fine. Like I still subscribe to that content because it's kind of funny. Like all the news reports about what's going on
What do you think about where Sargon is today politically?
politically. He's not trying to be in the right. I know that. Like he doesn't. he's not trying to be like on the left. Like he's just basically reporting things. Like even if people see him as a threat, but even when he tried to run for political office, he didn't win because the controversy surrounding him were ridiculous. But everyone thinks he's gonna destroy the world when really he's not.
Well, it does seem like I don't know a huge amount about Sargon's current political views, but it does seem like, from what I have read from his own Twitter, that he's very much opposed to all immigration to Britain.
Yeah, which is
That's
the problem. Which is the problem that people fear because there's two sides of the issue. Immigrants are coming in, but at the same time, a lot of them are causing a lot of problems, which is understandable because of the fact that housing and also giving them money to live their lives. But but you see videos of people demanding all this, like immigrants demanding that that's not enough for us to help us. Jeez, what is enough for you? Like a lot of them can't stand living in those places, and it's like, geez, you could find a job. You
I
could.
mean, do you think that a lot of them don't work?
I think a lot of them have a problem with the living situation there in the UK. Like I know that they didn't like I remember one lady was criticizing them. There was like a video about that too. Like she couldn't like she immigrated to the UK but didn't like the way she was living, and the fact that she didn't she's just collecting benefits from the UK. That's it. She doesn't like the way she was living. She doesn't like the like she can't she wants to live in a normal house. But the problem is that she's living under food stamps and all that stuff that the government programs are offering. Like she's living like in one of those little, I forget what they're called. She's living in those little mini trailer houses, like the the buildings that are basically makeshift houses that basically are built by like that we use for containers for trucks. You've seen those houses before, right?
Yeah, shipping container houses.
Yeah, she doesn't like that.
Well, I just looked it up now. This is from the Migration Observatory. I'll post it in the general.
Yeah,
But
yeah, well,
according to this, it's from Oxford University.
yeah,
It says that migrant men are more likely to be employed than UK-born men, 83% versus
yeah,
78% in 2020. But
yeah,
among women, migrants are less likely to be employed, 69% versus
and
72%. So
and
it
that
seems like a
was
lot of them are working at higher rates than
yeah,
the.
yeah, and they're getting jobs, but the lady was complaining about like I remember that one of the ladies were complaining about this. This was like one person, but foreign born made estimated 18% of the employed. But there's also the fact they're also dealing with the issues of Asian gangs too.
Yeah, no, I mean I don't disagree that there's social problems and
Yeah, especially like the only thing there was a situation down there where they were hiding the fact that a trans woman was murdered at. You probably heard about this, and they're hiding the identities of the murderers. And I know who I know why they hide the identity of the murderers.
do you think most people in Gamergate did a good job condemning harassment?
Yeah, they did the best they could. It's just the problem is people just didn't think that because they didn't see us doing it. like I told you about the whole situation with uh what was her name? Chloe Segal. Remember that one?
No, I don't.
Because I talked about this with you about Chloe Segal, where she basically, you know, the one that committed suicide. Remember that one?
Oh, okay. I Yeah, I don't know too much about the situation.
Yeah. So she developed it a game a long time ago. I forgot what that game was. I know Matt at the internet talked about it, aka he talked about this, and he basically explained, like, the guy who was the founder of Kiwi Farms. He digged into the whole situation. What happened was she had mental health issues, especially there were claims that she basically was doing this Kickstarter thing where she basically said that I needed money for a life-saving operation that would save my life. But it really, according to some sources, claimed that she needed the money to transition
And
into
that
a woman.
was Alistair Pinsoff, all right?
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't the game per se. It wasn't the video game that she made. It was basically she basically violated a because she said that she needed the money to for a life saving operation that would help her. And Pinsoff reported on this, claiming that and that's what caused her to, you know, have these mental breakdowns and everything because of her reputation being ruined. And Pinsoff was just basically just doing his job. He was just basically reporting on this.
And he got
But
blacklisted on the Games Journal Pro list, I believe. It was
yeah,
revealed.
yeah, because he basically reported on that whole situation with her. But the thing that they don't realize about Chloe Segal was that after the aftermath of what happened to her, uh, the fact that she got, you know, harassed and everything, bullied online, and even been called out for being a con artist, that caused a lot of stress for her because she went through a lot over the years, especially being homeless. And it caused her to, you know, even become abusive towards her friends. Like, she was very, from what I heard from people, from sources that I talked to, let's just put it this way. Um, she basically had she basically threatened to kill herself many times, and of course, you know, her friends saying something that really surprised me about this was that, oh, she's an activist, she's an artist, she's like what was his name that cut off his ear?
Van Gogh.
Yeah, Van Gogh. That was pretty much what they were hoping for, that she would commit suicide to address the issues about harassment online.
If you saw someone, quote unquote, on your side doing something you thought was bad, how would you handle that situation?
I think most people would call it out, which a lot of people have done. I have called out. I have called out the situation when people try to go after Mercedes Carrera. Like, it was a bad idea. Otherwise, because if we attack people on our own side, we become worse than the people that on the other side too. Because not only did they try to, you know, harass, like, I know people within Gamergate tried to do that.
Tried to harass Mercedes Carrera?
Yeah, because they didn't like her.
Well, most of the harassment was people condemning her, cutting all ties with her, things like this, right?
Yeah, not really. It was basically, at the time, there were people that, uh, you know, like the typical. It was like a 4chan post that was posted on on the GamerGate thing, and one of the chanters basically said, I don't trust this person, blah blah blah. It was the typical bullshit that they do all the time. And then one of them was Mercedes Carrera, and they were trying to harass her and everything. And it's just like, and I basically spoke out about it. It's like, I don't believe Mercedes Carrera is this bad person, but a lot of people, slowly realize, like, yeah, she may be, the understanding that the reason why she basically was supporting GamerU was the free speech thing. That was the reason why she supported GamerGate. That's why she got involved in the whole thing, because she liked this free speech aspect of it, because they were trying to silence our speech because of the fact that they didn't like what we had to say about them. What we were trying to tell people about the games journalists, about these activists and everything else. Those are the things that we were trying to talk about, because they were abusing their power over others, and that's what caused us that's why Mercedes heard about us, and heard about the fact that they were trying to silence our speech, which did happen.
I don't disagree that it happened, but were the people who were outing Brianna Wu as transgender also silencing her speech?
No, they were just basically telling her, they were just basically saying, oh yeah, she's transgender, oh well.
Well, I mean, these things don't happen in a vacuum. If you write an article, you make YouTube videos, whatever it happens to be,
Yeah,
exposing someone as transgender when this was not publicly
yeah,
available information.
but it's like, let's put it this way: would you abuse your power if you had that type of identity?
I don't think I'd ever abuse my power. I'd like to think so.
Well,
What does that mean, though?
there's
What does it mean to abuse your power?
well, well, I remembered someone used their identity. For example, GamerX, the founders of GamerX.
Yeah, I don't know them, but I'm aware of the Twitter account that they ran.
Yeah, well, there was a situation with them a long time ago, especially with the situation that happened with them. Especially, they were like a game development company too. You heard that they used their, one of them used their privilege, their LGBTQ privilege over others. Basically, if you don't sleep with me, you're transphobic threat.
Well, if that's true, I mean, I think that's stupid, but
Yeah. And that kind of, and I'm not saying that all trans people do that. I'm just saying one person did that. And it so happens to be a trans person. The problem is that when people say no, and of course they get threatened by a person that says, if you don't sleep with me, you're transphobic, and therefore I'm going to tell everyone that you're transphobic, and that's why I'm going to have you canceled, type of situation.
well, yeah, if that's true, I don't support that, obviously.
Yeah, I don't support it either. Like, I'm not trying to, be mean to the trans person to tell them, like, look, I'm sorry, lady, I'm not interested. But if you think I'm transphobic, oh well. I'm not gonna try to. I'm not gonna try to be mean to you. I'm just gonna say no.
But
That's all.
but that doesn't have to do with Brianna Wu specifically. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
sure why it's necessary or good
Well,
to reveal that.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't think Brianna, like, I think it was kind of ridiculous by what Brianna was doing, especially because she was just acting bizarrely weird with her behavior online, especially trying to accuse Gamergate of being this, this criminal organization plotting to destroy her. When in reality, we just were criticizing games journalists. And the thing was, she was trying to promote her game. And of course, I remembered someone pointing out, why is she hiring a PR company to help her on this situation with the news media? How did she know how to hire a PR company?
Like, I'm not saying that Brianna Wu was like some great person in all of this. I but it seems like she's levying this accusation that you believe
Yeah,
is false, that Gamergate is a harassment campaign out to get her.
yeah,
And then the answer by some of the people who supported Gamergate is to release to the public in a news article and also share it in videos that she's
hmm
transgender when she never wanted that to be publicly available information. There was no
yeah.
journalistic reason
There was no journalistic reason, and I know
to
that the
release that, and it is something that can have like serious issues with her
effects.
mental health
Yeah,
and with
it
her
can
social
also.
relationships.
Yeah, it could also affect her. Yeah, on her social relationships, even her husband. It would affect her too. But he's still married, surprisingly, even though the fact that it was the cat was out of the
Well,
bag.
I assume he probably knew before the article came out.
Yeah, yeah. She like I don't even think she deserved it, but unfortunately, that's what happens when you're a public figure. Like shit hits the fan. And especially what happened with when Ralph kind of went, because I remember there was an article with Brianna Wu. You remember that whole doxing situation with what's his name?
Uh, no, I don't actually. With what's his name?
Yeah, yeah. There was a guy that basically doxed Brianna Wu's house, and he was banned off of Twitter because of it. I remembered that thing. I forgot his name, but he basically showed that Brianna Wu was obviously lying because what happened was she was at her house at the time, but she also went to a Comic Con when she claims that she was run out of her house. She ran out of her house and left the house and went to a convention. And there was even a picture of them going to that convention at the time when she claimed that she was harassed by Gamergate, that she had to literally run out of the house because she was threatened by them.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that specific incident to comment on it.
Yeah. But there was a picture of them at a convention where I think it was at a New York Comic Con, I believe, and it was where her husband was wearing like a Cupid outfit, and she was with them, and I found it hilarious too. Like that was like the same. It was taken on the same time as the day when Brianna Wu was harassed, and then she said that she was literally threatened and left her home to flee. She fled from her home as she claimed, but she was at near I think at some near Comic Con that was happening.
You don't have to answer or talk about it, JT. But did you experience any harassment during Gamergate from either side or from third-party trolls?
Yeah, probably. But I took it as they were just being assholes about it.
Do you have any thoughts on Zack Attack?
I thought it was funny because Mombot was just Mombot. I gotta give her credit. I wish you could interview her.
Oh, trust me, I wish I could too.
I know because she doesn't want. She's still on Twitter though. I found out that she came back on Twitter.
Yeah, I sent her a DM, but we'll see if she
Yeah,
replies.
yeah. I wish her the best. As far as I know, she 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 actually did create some interesting content for herself. But it's sad that a lot of the stuff that was going on at the time, Mombot basically exposed a lot of this stuff. Like she even made a list of people that were exposed with that were anti Gamergate that basically were basically sex pests exposed as sex pests.
Yeah, and part of the Zack Attack thing was that in the build-up to her and Rudderhouse releasing the logs, in
Yeah,
order, she released an article in the build-up to that about Robert Marmelejo, an
yeah,
anti-gamergater who was accused of misconduct.
yeah, misconduct and also trying to dox her.
Well, that was a. I don't know if Marmelejo tried to dox her, but the Zack Attack people definitely did.
Yeah, the Zack Attack people were upset because they were accusing her of being a white man,
Yeah,
and it
Zachary
was,
Miller.
yeah, exactly.
Still one of the greatest trolls of all time, you gotta
I
say.
know it was the greatest troll of all time. I gotta give Mombot credit for that. But it's kind of true that they were plotting to do this because they were trying to literally destroy her, but they could have went after Allison Prime and expose her, but they didn't because she was a woman.
Why do you think the media didn't cover harassment against Gamergate supporters when it talked nonstop about harassment of anti-Gamergate people?
Because they wanted to show, you see, these people are bad people. You see, these people are bad people. That's because of the bias that they had for it, even being told not to because you know that they didn't really want those. They wanted to silence us. They wanted to, discredit us as a whole for basically trying to put out the truth out there, and they didn't want us to, because they were claiming, oh, you see, these people, they're the bad guys, because the whole, you remember that picture that forgot his name did. He basically showed the picture of the cameraman taking the whole, the guy chasing the other guy running with a knife. It was like a
Oh, and
shadow.
they purposely take the picture out of context. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, yeah, it was kind of like that whole situation because that was the whole point of what they were trying to do in the media. They were trying to they're trying to put us as the bad guys, especially how the Canadian media treated us too, with the whole situation of us claiming that we harassed this other person in Canada, and I didn't even know who this lady was. I didn't care. Because she claimed that we doxed her on the board B, aka Baphomet.
B and Baphomet are like two separate boards, though.
Yeah, yeah, there were two separate boards, and she claimed that we doxed her when we didn't.
What do you think of the term sea lining?
Uh, it's based on that comic strip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, sea lining is what they claim as something of a sea lion showing up, and they don't want to discuss the issue with the sea lion.
Right. Well, yeah. Someone makes public comments. A sea lion then responds to those public comments. But
Yeah,
the other
and they
person is more mad that the sea lion is questioning their public statement than they
yeah,
are anything else.
yeah, questioning them as they are trying to, because maybe the sea lion was trying to understand what you were saying, and of course they did the GamerGate version of that.
What do you think about how the media covered Gamergate?
There were some people that were covering it fairly, but others weren't. They basically just did not like did not like us talking about, the journalists in a bad negative light. That was probably why people didn't want to talk to us, because especially with the whole, posting of hentai and all that shit, even girls with dicks. I'm not joking, they did that.
Who, the games journalists or the
No,
journalists?
no, Gamergate. basically a bunch of GamerGaters decided to post just to be offensive as possible.
They posted pictures of Fuda.
Yeah,
What, on Twitter, or what are you talking about?
on Twitter because they wanted to be offensive as possible.
I'm
And,
what
and
what's
that's
the
why
end goal of the Fuda thing? Like what's the objective there?
the objective was, to my understanding, I talked to the guys about it. They said they wanted to be offensive as possible to the game journalists by posting that stuff.
They sent them the pictures of the Fuda.
That's why we got accused of being transphobic.
Did you send the
Because
pictures of the Fuda too?
no, but I found it funny that they because there was anonymous users that were like posting photo pictures within the hashtag of Gamergate just to be offensive as possible, just to be dicks about it.
Well, these were GamerGate people doing this, or was it people
Just
trolling GamerGate?
probably trolling, but they were posting like girls with dicks on Twitter. Like I think some of them were either third party trolls or just people within Gamergate that said I support free speech, therefore I'm going to post some girls with dicks.
If you were a journalist, how would you have investigated or covered GamerGate?
I would ask questions, but I'm not going to talk to Pterodax to be the source of all of this.
Well, to be
But I
clear,
would
he's one of 45 people I'm interviewing, and
yes,
he's
yes, but he, but
he's
he, but he,
obviously
but
not
he,
pro GGs. So
he's pro Obama, that's for sure.
yeah, I mean he's a big Obama fan.
Yeah,
Sure,
he is.
I guess I
Yeah,
don't know about his who he voted for per se, but
yeah. I'm pretty sure he would vote for Obama again in 2024.
I mean hell, I'd vote for Obama again if if we didn't have term limits.
Well,
He's probably a better
yeah,
choice than Biden and Trump.
yeah. Especially when we laugh about this stuff. But then again, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I understand a lot of trolls were pretty upset about GamerGate, and I'm not gonna deny that. Yeah, I made some shitty ass, trolling trolling about it. But yeah,
Did you reach out to any journalists or media outlets who wrote articles about Gamergate to correct misinformation?
I don't even think they care to listen to us, even if we tried to. I tried with a lot of places, but they did not care.
You were obviously a public YouTuber at the time. Did anybody
Yeah,
from the media, you still are, but did anybody from the media
no.
reach out to you to interview you or discuss the movement?
Uh, Michael Jordan did because he went on my. I think he went on a live stream, and I basically made friends with him, talked to him about it. But he no longer is a journalist. He's basically a businessman now. I wish him the best.
Did the media's coverage of Gamergate increase or decrease your trust in the media?
Uh, it caused me to distrust Kotaku.
If a journalist who got Gamergate wrong in your view is reading this now, what do you want them to reconsider?
Well, it depends because right now, if they don't want to listen to us, then that's fine because no one understood what Gamergate was. Because even old people didn't understand what it was. They just assumed that we were plotting to kill the Jews as they suspect. I'm just gonna tell them no. This was not we weren't plotting to kill the Jews. We had an issue with people within the games media. That was it.
What do you think the media can learn about how they covered Gamergate?
They're never going to learn.
Have you seen the Gamergate Wikipedia article?
The Gamergate Wikipedia article. Uh, yeah. And most of it is just bias.
Would you like to see the narrative, quote unquote, on Gamergate change?
It depends, because if they're going to say yes, but we can't erase the fact that they're going to say it's a harassment campaign against women and minorities, as they claim.
JT, has your conscious experience as a human been made worse to any degree because of the negative narrative about Gamergate?
Yeah. I think most people have to understand that it also hurt relationships. It also hurt friendships. It also hurt a lot of people. And people don't realize, like, the people from the other side of Gamergate were harassing people, even trying to force people into suicide.
All right, getting to the most difficult question of all, JT.
Hmm.
What's your favorite video game?
What's my favorite video game of all time?
Of all time.
Of all time. My favorite video game of all time. Let's see. Let's see if I remember. 1945, or let's see. That was my favorite arcade game. Yep. 1945. And it was called Strikers.
You're a big arcade player?
When I was a kid.
Oh, not anymore?
Not anymore. I got a PC now.
Did you attend a Gamergate meetup?
No.
Do you want to talk about the friendships you made during Gamergate?
Yeah, Lisa.
Yeah, I interviewed
Lisa
her. Oh,
Nurgle. Lisa Nurgle. Um, Including, you mentioned him.
oh, Carbine.
Yeah, Carbine, but he used to be known as someone else too. But Nurgle, Lord Nurgle, Leon. Even though I haven't talked to Leon in a while, there was also a lot of other people that I met during GamerGate, but I haven't seen them in a while, and I feel bad for a lot of them. And I would mention that I'm on Lord Nurgle's Discord, and including Lieutenant Sarge. You know who Lieutenant Sarge is, right?
Yeah, I'd like to interview him actually.
Yeah, I can ask him if you want to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I could
Oh fuck, dude, I got
examine
45 people. Do I need more? Jesus.
40. Yeah, you could probably set a schedule
I mean, if
for him
he
if
if
you
he
want.
wants to do it, we can do it. But like, I'm not like actively seeking up.
Yeah,
But
right
yeah, I
now
mean, like,
he's
I'm open
like
to it. But it's like I got so
like
many people, dude. It's gonna take me 10 years to do this.
he's doing right now. He's doing old school content. Like, he's doing like this cash prize challenge for old school games, and it's kind of interesting that he's going to do that. Like, he's getting a lot of like uh hype for his game, for his content right now, and I hope he succeeds. Um, there's also Let's see if I could find. Yeah, Izzy's.
I mean, you can reach out to him later if you want. I mean, but if he
Yeah,
wants to do it, he's more than he
Xenomancer.
can reach out to me. I'll if
Yeah,
he
and
wants to do it, I'll do it. But
I
I don't want
haven't
to.
talked to. I haven't talked to Xenomancer either in a long while. I did talk to Full. I am. I'm still. I think Full Screen Boss Fight is another one, but I still call him the boss. Let's see who else. Uh, Man, there's a lot of people on the list. I know the Green Grapus is another one. I haven't talked to QQ in a while. Jeez, Q has not been around because he's focusing on retro fitting games, which I'm kind of I'm in full support of him doing. But as far as I know, that's pretty much who I know right now.
Oh well, you brought up QQ. What do
Yeah,
you think of
QQ.
GG Revolt?
GG Revolt. If they hadn't exposed Allison Prime, we would all been frauded. We would all been hosed because they did save people from donating to that thing.
True, though that was a bit more nuanced than that. Like they were a real catfish. Not even like a GamerGate specific one. Apparently, they were like pretending to be a woman on the internet since like the mid 2000s. Like mid,
Yeah,
it was like a very weird
yeah,
story. And but their house really did burn down.
yeah. Their house really did burn down, and they were accusing us of being sock puppets accounts for people who were women. But thanks to that, actually ruined our reputation in Gamergate because Allison Prime was posing as a woman online and tried, and of course they didn't tell you the other part about that whole story was that she or he was asking for nudes within the women within Gamergate.
Wait, hang on. We might be conflating her with somebody else because there were two catfish in GamerGate.
Yeah,
The other catfish might have been the one who did that.
yeah,
Hope McKenna, if you remember.
yeah. Pope McKenna, and there was also her too because there were two people that were posing as that too.
Do you have any thoughts on Vivian James or GamerGate related art projects?
I don't have a problem with it. It was like I thought it was freaking hilarious. Like people made comic strips about that, uh, and I did follow one of them, and I kind of find it hilarious that people are talking about those comic strips, but because they were all just entertaining, and it's like yeah, Gamergate was just basically talking about these issues because the video game industry was just trying to promote their games, especially the ones that were like really terrible.
What was your favorite moment during GamerGate?
Let's see. When all the guys that were anti Gamergate that got exposed as sex pests, that was like the greatest moment. Especially what's his name? The guy from that one website that he wrote for.
Oh, with Matt Hickey?
Not Matt. Maybe
The
is he?
well, he allegedly ran a casting couch of his own.
Yeah, he did. He did. He ran a casting couch because there was also that other guy. He was canceled too. He actually was the guy who criticized us the most, and he wrote articles about us. Um,
Graham Lineham.
yeah, I think it was him, but it was also some other ones that criticized us and got exposed. Let me look at up Mombot's little.
Of course, if we make accusations, we gotta like put allegedly and like be very careful for the book.
Yeah, allegedly, because keep in mind, yeah, I know, because even YouTube is trying to enforce that rule on us because you don't want to accuse everybody of anything
Yeah,
that's like,
I try to be super careful, like not to make claims unless I can like 100% prove them. And be
yeah,
very careful. Like I think it might be better like we don't mention like specific names even maybe. But I mean I did that a little
I
bit too. But
apologize.
no, I did it. I mean I said, but yeah, let's just it's up to you. If you want to talk about it, we can. If you want to pull up the article from Mombot.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it.
Do you want to take more questions in the meantime since we're nearing the end?
Yeah, go ahead. What's the questions since I can't look at the live stream stuff?
If you could have changed one thing about Gamergate, what would it be?
There's a lot of things that could have been changed, but there's nothing we could do about it.
What would you have personally done differently during Gamergate?
I would have I would have avoided all the scams that were happening within Gamergate.
Oh, they got you. They got your money.
Yeah.
Let's say it's 10 years from now, and an online movement is looking to Gamergate for guidance for their movement. What advice
Mhm.
do you have for them?
You can welcome everybody, but be careful who you welcome.
What have you personally learned from Gamergate?
I personally learned that you need a lot of confidence to handle the situations that we handled over the years, especially through tough times, especially with the virus and everything. Hell, there were people that couldn't handle their situations. I handled myself pretty well because I realized after living through tough times, you know, I I had to have that confidence to try to do what I can. Even if I'm not confident, I had to do what I had to do to survive. I had to do what anyone else, even if people didn't like me per se, but I'm kind of glad that, even though people might think I'm the bad guy, and obviously I'm like the saying goes, you can live long as a hero, but you'll die as a villain in the end. Because right now you see people within the other side becoming villains. They got all exposed as bad guys, especially those that were anti Gamergate.
Well, I mean, not
They basically,
everybody who was anti-GG though.
yeah, not all of them were villains. It's just I understand they had good intentions. It's just the problem was a lot of them were just deliberately like being dishonest. Like Sarah Neinberg, for example, she just flat out kept, you know, being dishonest with people, telling people and gaslighting Gamergate as it was. And it got to the breaking point that, she over exaggerates everything.
There are also some bad people on our side too.
Yeah. Yeah, especially Allison Prime was one of them. And including King King of Pole kind of did put himself in that position. He tried his best, but he had to leave, including internet aristocrat, rightfully so, because he felt that the movement was failing. He knew that the movement was failing because it got to the breaking point that I kind of agreed with him in the end. All you could do is just laugh at this stuff. That's all you could do is just laugh at just laugh at it, because if people are gonna just ridiculously do this whole stick where they want to like, here's an example. They want to make a D&D campaign where they have the main character is going to be a trans woman in a D&D campaign. How are they going to do that? Let me ask you. How are they going to do that in a D&D story?
I mean, I guess however they want, because like D&D is about like building your own fantasy.
Yeah, building your own fantasy. But what happens if that D&D character becomes a villain?
I mean, I think that's fine.
Yeah, but what would happen if they use real life stuff of being a trans woman in a D&D campaign?
I mean, like, I think it's whatever the local game group or whatever your personal group of friends wants to do is like whatever is fine.
Yeah. But
Up to the
it would
DM.
turn into a really bad stereotype situation. Because they try to like, I know they've been trying to, make games like, for example, like putting female, targeting like the female audience to buy games. I think most women want, like, for example, a game about gay men, pretty gay men. That's what they want. But at the same time, with elaborately like 80s, hairstyle. That's what they want. If they if the because I actually looked into this whole situation and found out that women, like, for example, in Boulder's Gate, they liked Astarion, but he kind of has this, like, have you played Boulder's Gate yet? Boulder's Gate 3?
I've not played the first two either, no. Or three.
I played it. There was a character named Astarion, and a lot of women really like Astarion for some weird reason. But he's like a vampire, and they're like, "Oh, he's so handsome. He's so, charismatic."
Do you see parallels between Gamergate and the way society currently discusses issues?
I think the problem is that they're basically taking this issue right now. Right now, there's like a political situation with Israel and Palestine, and there are people that are calling out the other side of the situation. Are they telling the truth? Are they telling the truth? Are these two people are literally killing each other? Type of situation. One side claims that they're killing our people. The other side is claiming that we're killing their people, and it gets to that breaking point that who's telling the truth now situation.
What do you think of the decentralized and leaderless nature of Gamergate?
I'm referring to your fascination with declaring Brianna Wu trans status having absolutely no journalistic purpose.
Oh, that's Mils. That's the guy in the chat, Milspec.
I I had to report that situation because of the fact that she got exposed as trans, and I and yeah, there was some criticisms for me saying this stuff, but from Tachyon himself, and we basically I basically said, hey, I basically had to report it as is. I wasn't trying to, be mean to Brianna Wu, even though, yeah, I was joking a little bit, but it wasn't like, but it was for entertainment purposes. But I had to report it as is. That was the kind of thing that I did. I understand Tachyon kind of had his criticisms about this issue, but I'm not trying to be mean to Brianna Wu. I understand Brianna Wu wants to make money off of this stuff. Because like any other person, like she is a game developer slash politician that's trying to you know like anyone else. I understand her hustle. She's trying to get attention in the video game industry. She's trying to get attention politically. But yeah, I disagree with her on doing this because I do believe she's trying to fake all of this, trying to get attention to it so she can get because she's trying to get involved in politics. And I understand she's LBGTQ. I understand she's trying to do it, but this is the wrong way. You have to do it with truthfulness. That's the issue that I had with Brianna Wu because I believe that she's just an opportunist trying to seek out, fame and fortune, trying to do this in order to get attention on the issue of harassment online. Because we weren't trying to harass anybody, we were just upset about the fact that games journalism, we got tired of how games journalists were treating the situation with what they were doing.
JT.
Okay.
Oh, I was asking about the.
Okay, the trans thing. Okay. About the D&D trans idea. I was thinking about writing like the concept of the idea of a lore of making a trans character in a D&D lore. It would be funny if a mage could transform into a woman. But it would also be a stereotype too, because literally everything. If this trans woman became a queen of a kingdom and tries to enact laws about fairness and everything, I would make that story into a thing, but she would also become a tyrant because of the fact that she tries to, do things for the sake of equality. If I actually wrote that story, it'd be funny. But at the same time, people would get upset with me writing that story. But the point that I'm making of in this story is that people would see that as as they want to silence and try to destroy me.
So JT, what do you think of the decentralized and leaderless nature of
No,
GamerGate?
it has nothing to do with being evil. It has something to do with how ridiculously funny it is.
Dude,
That's
you're
what I'm
so
pointing.
chat brained right now. I'm
I
trying to.
know.
So you want to make it so you want to make a D&D campaign. Let's get to that. You want to
Yeah,
talk
this
about
is
this. You want to make a D&D campaign
as a
where
joke. As a joke. Because it's just going to be full of stereotypes and that's it.
I mean, dude, if it's your D&D group with your friends and everyone's cool with it, like whatever, just do it. Like I don't care.
Yeah, I know.
Do whatever you want, man. Uh, what do you think of the decentralized and leaderless nature of GamerGate?
It was full of chaos, but it was funny as hell.
I know you kind of talked about this a little bit, but do you see GamerGate as having been successful?
I think it yes and no.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
Because we had some successes, but we also had some failures. Because the game industry refused to listen to us. And the one success that we had is that the game industry is failing because of the fact that they tried to be, inclusive, but it got exposed as evil because of the fact that you heard what happened with Activision, you heard what happened to other companies that went through this, such as Ubisoft. And also, did you hear about that situation with what was that other company that actually ZeniMax Media? You heard about ZeniMax?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, they fired a trans woman over. Here was her story was that she had a petty issue with the fact that they announced her little announcement too early, which was like a petty issue. But she got fired, and of course she kind of claims that there was something else about the fact that she lost her job due to the fact that they she was complaining about the fact that they announced her transitioning as a woman in the company. She got upset about it, tried to confront the person, and they went back and forth on the whole issue, and it led to the whole situation to where she got fired and tried to talk about her about the whole insurance situation with the company. I felt bad for her, but at the same time, it just kind of doesn't make any sense what she was doing.
All right, we're nearing the end here, JT. What would success have looked like to you with Gamergate?
Yeah, okay. It outed. It didn't cover her healthcare. Hang on. Okay, CSS Silver was is bringing up that issue.
Yeah, we can. I mean, I don't know how deep you want to get into this specific thing. We can. I mean, you made
Yeah,
a claim. We can discuss it.
because
But
I'm just pointing out that the game industry is doesn't really care about these people because they're just trying to look good in order to because like I said, the game industry
yeah,
does
you
not
made a
give a
claim.
shit about these people. They only care about looking good. That's what I'm just pointing out about this whole issue.
So, what would success have looked like to you with Gamergate?
It would have been funny if the game industry listened to us, because I wasn't trying to, destroy people's jobs or anything like that. But it kind of got into that situation where people were getting upset with us and didn't understand us. And I wish people would understand. Like we weren't trying to, start this, but we had to do it with humor and everything because we were just laughing and joking and just basically just taking, a piss off of the games journalist side of things. Especially, like me making fun of the whole articles about driving like all the articles they basically write about are basically the same thing over and over again. Driving down, playing GTA 5 while driving down the street while being black type of articles. Because you probably heard about that story about that article.
Vaguely recalled. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently it turns out the person who wrote that article did that as a did that as a joke, and it turns out the person was white who wrote that article, claiming to be a black woman.
All right.
And
All right. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, claiming to be a black woman driving while in GTA 5 while black. And she just basically said, I was driving, I was playing, and that whole thing was funny.
All right, JT. If you could do it all over again, would you?
Yeah, I would do it again. But this time I wouldn't be I would stop making all the jokes I do. I would try to get better material.
Do you feel like some of the humor that you used might have hurt yourself or hurt the cause?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, this was like 10 years ago too, so like,
Yeah. Yeah, especially the whole Brianna Wu situation.
would you? What do you think about that now?
Yeah. making jokes about her, especially I'll admit, doing the whole Wu Tang Forever thing was funny.
I could.
And
Good.
yeah, because basically I was just like, okay, Wu Tang, Wu Tang, Wu Tang. I bring like that hardcore to the brain. That's what she was doing.
Yeah, I don't think it's probably not a good idea, but I'll offer this up anyway.
Yeah,
I could
because we're
probably get
like,
you in touch with Brianna Wu.
yeah,
Would you
and
want to
I'll
talk? Would you want
apologize.
to talk with her, or would you be willing to?
Yeah, she'll probably say I'm the harasser, but I'll admit that I made a joke to her and I apologize to her. That's the only thing I will admit. Making the jokes about her, especially with the Wu Tang Clan thing. I'm pretty sure she listens to that group, and I'm pretty sure that RZA would like to meet her. I can probably set it up because I know my sister met Redman.
What do you think of this interview project?
I think it's a good idea because it would actually bring up the history of both sides, the, trying to tell their story. And I'm not gonna try to be mean to everybody. The moon rocks. The moon rocks. Yeah, I remember the moon rocks. But she also claimed she was Batman too. And we were because I remember the whole Bane thing. I would ask her, why did you I'm gonna have to ask her that one question. Why did you believe that you were Batman? In that one tweet that you did years ago. I would have to ask her that.
It would be such a disaster if I put you in touch with Brianna Wu.
I
It would
know,
be
I
a
know,
total shit show, dude.
I
Like
know.
it would be awful.
Nah, I'm not gonna be mean to her. I'm just gonna ask her that one question, then leave.
Yeah.
If she doesn't want to answer that question about Batman, why do you believe that you were Batman? Because we were doing the whole Bane memes. Remember that the Bane memes. The Bane memes were basically when that movie Batman came out, and we were just doing the Bane memes because we were basically just like because we were playing because people saw us as the villain, but we were exposing a lot of the stuff that was happening within games journalism. That's what Bane was in the movie. He was basically exposing all the corruption within the city in the storyline if you watch that movie.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean, he was. He was also like a bad guy too. But
Yeah, he was the bad
but that
guy.
was
And
that. I do remember the memes. That was pretty funny. I
yeah,
remember. I still remember the video. It was this
and
video
and
of like
and,
him.
and Brianna Wu
Well, there's a couple
thought
videos.
and Brianna Wu saw herself as Batman, and she kind of mentioned that on Twitter too. And that's what we thought was funny. She thought herself as Batman because yeah, she was rich. She was rich because she got a lot of money from even making that game too.
Well, I don't know how
Like,
much she made from making the game, but like she was making money on
but
Patreon a fair amount.
yeah, yeah. You even saw her production value of her commercials and everything. You saw when she was running for Senate.
No,
You saw that,
I knew she was running for I think the House, right? Or what? Maybe it was Senate.
yeah,
But I don't like follow her life closely,
Congress, I believe.
so
I
like
think it
I
was
don't.
Congress. And I
Yeah.
saw the commercial, like she was basically doing the Godzilla commercial. Like I think she should do production. Like I think with her talent, I think she could probably make a production company to make TV commercials and such in her local town. That's what I think she should do because I, I would be fun. It'd be funny
Yeah,
too. Like
it was the
she
House of Representatives.
like the House of Representatives. Because when you saw her commercial of herself, doing the Godzilla thing, it just I couldn't help but laugh at that too. Because you got to see that commercial. I think it's on YouTube.
So JT, some of the people reading this book or watching this live stream might hold a negative view of Gamergate. Do you have anything you want to say to these people?
Uh, they could hate us all they want, and I'm not gonna hold it against them because yeah, we they did terrible things, we did terrible things, but you got to move on. You got to live your lives. You got because they've been trying to bring back GamerGate a lot in the media because they know that they can they're trying to profit off of it. And the truth is, it's just a hashtag. It's not like we were going to try to start mowing down people left and right. We weren't. We were just criticizing games journalism. That is all. Like we were bringing up things such as microtransactions, um, how they were trying to bring in minorities into the industry. Like basically, we criticized that too because really they were just paying them less money in the job.
You worded this like so bad, dude.
I know.
they're,
I'm sorry.
they're trying to bring minorities into the gaming industry, and we criticized that too.
Yeah,
Dude,
we
that sounds
criticized
so bad.
we criticized it, but here's the thing: they were using them as a shield. That's why not your shield was a thing. Like they were trying to hide a lot of the things that were happening within the game industry. Like I'm sorry if I misworded that, but they were literally like abusing like employees that were minorities that were in the job. Like because I heard there was a Mexican guy that was working there, and he basically did this whole and he basically quit because he wanted to work there, but they didn't want to promote him or move him to another position in Activision Blizzard because he worked in the you probably heard about it, right?
I mean, probably not. I don't know. I, I don't know if I've heard this story. Well, I think you might have
Yeah,
mentioned it earlier in the stream, actually. But
yeah, because they were what happened was there was a Mexican guy that was working there and he was being abused by his coworkers, and he felt like he was being an emotional punching bag by his coworkers, and he basically was fed up and left. And he wrote this long blog about it, talking about what he was dealing with, and he just said I just quit because it just was bad enough for my mental health dealing with these people at Activision Blizzard. And then you find out the years later that there was sexual harassment involved as well in that job that happened at Activision.
all right, JT. Anything else you want to talk about regarding Gamergate?
Okay, let's see. Yeah, well, if anything that happens within the games industry, all we could do is laugh at this stuff. Because really, like I kind of agreed with the internet aristocrat. The all we could do is just laugh, and once they make that mistake, I would agree with him on this. What he said. Once they make a mistake, all we could do is just laugh at them in the end, because that's what happened to them. And I understand that the other side of the story is that they want to elevate careers of people that are minorities in the game industry, which is a good thing too. Because you probably checked out the voices of. Did you check out that the summer of gaming thing
Summer of
with
Gaming?
yeah, the summer games thing that
No,
Jeff Keighley did?
no, I don't think so.
Well, there was a section that they did was called the Black Voices of Gaming. I checked it out, and I looked at like if they would have presented that type of format, I would so buy their games because there were so many black game developers that made some interesting games. Although some of them weren't really good, but there were some that were actually pretty good that I would watch, that I would buy some of them. Like there was this one game about a black ninja beating the crap out of people with a gold chain, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, I actually saw that. I thought it was pretty offensive. I want them to change the cover.
Chain the cover.
That was pretty cringe, not gonna lie. But
Yeah, yeah. But there was some games that I thought like the developer of Cry, I forgot what it's called. You know the this was an indie game. He actually made another sequel, and they actually had him on there. He wanted to make a game similar to Naruto and other things, so he made that game. And listening to a lot of the game developers, I thought, those games seem kind of good. I'll probably buy one of them. Not all of them, but just some of them. Because if they actually showed those games, it would be funny.
all right, man. Anything else you got for me?
Mm, that's it. That's all I got to say because I know you want to leave.
Well, it's like not. It's like I we've gone through. That's the last question.
Yeah, that's the last question.
Yeah, that's the last question.
Yeah, the video game industry, guys, you got to understand they are willing to kill minority. They're willing to sacrifice white people in order to protect minorities. No, they don't. They're willing to sacrifice more. They're willing to put minorities in jobs in order to hide their dirty secrets.
Do you have a problem with diversity?
No,
Assuming it's like not to
no,
cover up
no,
misdeeds.
no. I think the problem is when you have minorities in the gaming industry. I don't have a problem with them. I think a lot of them need to go indie and start their own businesses. That's what I'm advocating for. Be your own boss. Make your own games. Do your own thing. That's what I would probably say to people because if you want to work with Activision Blizzard, go ahead, take your time and then get out and then make your own games.
All right. Well, hey JT, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling me your GamerGate story. I
Yeah.
And if you do want to get in touch with some anti-GamerGate people, I can do that for you.
Yeah,
Get you in
you
touch with
could,
them.
and they could get upset with me over their whole trans issue thing. I'll give them I'll tell them the honest truth, what I meant.
All right. Well, hey, I'm gonna raid Neve. Go ahead and say hi, everyone, and have a good night. Thank you for
Yeah,
watching.
because
And we
I'm
can talk
because
off air in a second if you want, but we're still live just now.
yeah,
Right now, heads up.
yeah, yeah. That's fine.